part 2 of the set review for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Things are a little different. I'm going to run it down again in case you missed part 1, or you're just a viewer on YouTube and you clicked on this and you're like, what? I am in the dark because of photosensitivity and migraines and all that jazz. So if you're wondering why does it look like I'm about to give you information on the crimes of Richard Nixon, don't worry about it. And I might even pull off my Nixon impression if you're extra good. 2, normally I would have like a whole screen with with card images and cockatry, a card viewer and chat on screen and all that. This is just so much easier, and people don't seem to care. And in fact, this kind of lets me show off the different the art treatments that are available and all that. We have the white to green that has already been done for the main set. Then I'm going to do gold, artifact, and land today. And then we're going to talk about commander cards, and we're going to talk about Jurassic Park cards. I'm going to be talking about these through the lens of Canadian Highlander, Gladiator, and Commander. And sometimes if a cool card pops up, I just want to talk about that cool card. Abuelo sounds quite a bit like Abuela. Yeah, this is Gramps. This is Grandpa. Abuela is the feminine version of Abuelo. Anywho, we ready to get into this? Y'all ready for this? Although I think Abuelo is actually used. I mean, this might be the case for Spanish. My Spanish is pretty bad. It's I never really learned it. I didn't take Spanish in school. It's most of what I've learned from Spanish is what I have learned from French and a bit of Portuguese. I'm pretty sure the masculine version of this is also used as the gender neutral or the group term analogy. Like abuela is feminine, abuelo is masculine, or just like grandparents can be used for abuelo. Or maybe it's you have to pluralize it, something like that. Grand people. No. Get that fucking X out of there. This is an LA Twitter, please. And what do you mean I only get... Oh, you're restricting yourself to only one white Latino joke. No, you can make some extra ones. Sure, why not? Okay. Speaking of. Abuelo, Ancestral Echo. 3 mana, blue and a white for a 2/2 flying ward 2. It's a legendary spirit that has an activated ability. Oh, an activated ability? This might be a brutal stream. Has an activated ability of 1 white and a blue. Exile another target creature or artifact you control. Return to play under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this kind of has some like similar vibes to like Eldrazi Displacer and, in that Soul Herder repeatable blink kind of category. But obviously 3 mana to exile something is a little rough. 3 mana to exile something that's only your creature kind of removes the whole Eldrazi Displacer shenanigans where you can like remove their blockers or, combo off with Containment Priest and whatnot. But this does have some other kind of benefits working towards it. It is a bit easier to activate than the Displacer because Displacer requires colorless mana, which can be a little tough for a deck that is typically in 3 colors. Ward 2 is pretty interesting. Gives it a nice little buffer against Caracas and just like other pieces of removal. Flying means that like your Bant deck can actually just start chopping in, which is kind of cool. And, you know, it's fine. If you need some redundancy in this type of effect, excuse me. Oh, yeah, I guess it's closer to Mist Meadow Witch. That's a 4-mana activated ability. It doesn't come back immediately as well. That's something to think about. It's not the, like, immediately comes into play, which Displacer does. It's the, it's a flicker, not a blink. Yeah. Good. It's a flicker, not a blink. If you need extra pieces of this in your blink deck, it's not the worst card that you could include. I'll say that. You can find it off a Recruiter. You can pitch it to Solitude. Like, it has some other play to it that some of the other available cards like this don't have. It's not bad, you know? It's not bad. I think this is a card where I look at it and I'm like, well, it looks like it would be too cute, but then it actually just does a bunch of things that you would want it to have, and all the downsides that you would assume, like the Ward 2, ends up being all the downsides you would expect from a card like this as a legendary 2-drop, or a legendary 3-mana creature that only has 2 toughness. The Ward 2 does a lot for that. So yeah, this card's fine. Probably unnecessary, but if you feel like your particular build wants to go a little heavier on this, it's not an embarrassing card to include, is what I'll say. Aal the Seething Tower. 1 black and a green for a 3/3 legendary fungus. It has Descend 4. As long as there are 4 more permanents in your graveyard, it gets +2/+2. Descend 8. As long as there are 8 or more permanents in your graveyard, it can gets an additional +2/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. This is just like a big idiot. I don't know. It's kind of a beefy beater angry mushroom. Like, it's just it's large, but I'm not super impressed by Descend. I mean, if you're doing like a self-mill thing, this doesn't seem to really be like in line with what you want to accomplish. I guess like a self-mill deck might want to have a couple of Tarmogoyfs running around. Does it go into black mold? God, no. Yeah, you might want to have a couple of cards that just get really big over the course of the game. But the fact that this is just like most likely when you play it on curve, or even in the first couple of turns after, like on turn 4, turn 5, it's just like it's like a 3-mana 3/3. Descend 4 is pretty tough in a format without fetch lands. And even if in a format with fetch lands, it's pretty, pretty not great. Yeah, this card is just not good enough. Card's not good enough. Not aggro enough for mold? No. So, like, Black Golgari aggro in Canlander is already a deck that, like, just doesn't really show up that often because it really doesn't have a great identity anymore. It used to be a deck where you were an aggressive deck that had some hand attack and some pretty strong removal spells, and like your creatures were annoying to kill, or it was not profitable for your opponent to kill your creatures. And now, oh, he's just watching a movie. Okay, I see. Kiefer is watching a movie in the other room, and he went, "Holy shit." Like, he just heard the news that like a second plane has hit the towers. I genuinely went into like defensive, like my husband needs me kind of mode. But it's just a movie. Yeah, Black Mold had an identity, but that identity kind of got usurped, and it's a fan favorite deck. Obviously, it's a deck that Alex played. It's a deck that got, it's a viewer of old Friday Night Paper Fights. Love it dearly, but it's just not really a thing that shows up that often. And if it does show up, it's not winning off of cards like this. It's winning off of the fact that you have Thoughtseize into Tarmogoyf into like Tenacious Underdog or whatever. You miss Alex Stacey? Well, he's not dead. He's not dead, and in fact, he's on every Canlander Friday Night Paper Fight, basically. Yeah, he's still kicking it. I wish you were here. Yeah, a 3-mana 5/5 trampler that like can get disrupted at instant speed is also just like not that great. You want to talk great though. Amalia Bavid is a black and a white for a 2/2 legendary vamp scout with ward, pay 3 life. And whenever you gain life, Amalia explores. Then you destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. So let me tell you this. This card is a lot better than it looks. You know? It's a lot better than it looks in... I played this card in a North 100 showdown that Serge and I recorded, where I was playing... I built vampires. And let me tell you, this card got out of hand very quickly. Like, it just... Being able to explore repeatedly is very strong. And whenever you gain life, there are plenty of decks in Canlander that you can build around gaining life at different instances. And that's pretty cool and good. Yeah, this card does, even if this is just like an Ajani's Pridemate with additional value, that like can draw cards, it's a little harder to kill. Ward 3 makes it annoying enough to crack, so you're not going to want to do it. Yeah, this card's got some gas behind it. It's also a 2-drop vampire, which is something for vamps in particular. I think that deck really struggles with is that it just doesn't have enough consistent 2-drops that scale well, and this card does it. As for Gladiator, yeah, if you're doing like a Soul Sisters style deck, or if you are, I mean, even like maybe an Aristocrats deck could look into playing this if you're like a 2-color Aristocrats deck. That A+B creature deck in Abzan could play Wild Growth Walker with this card. I don't know if it's worth it. It is a 2-card combo, but the combo doesn't kill them immediately, and you need to trigger it's not actually a 2-card combo, you know? Yeah, and yeah, brownie points. I was about to get to that. 2 things. 1, she's like 15 or 16 or something, which is just really... Calm down. She's like a child. And secondly, even if a character wasn't a child, are you really thirsting over colonizers? Bruh. I mean, come on. No, she's a kid. I mean, vampire fountain of youth and all that jazz. But slow down there, folks. Slow down there. This is Kari Zev all over again. Why the fuck is a child exploring an underground civilization? I don't know, because this is Magic the Gathering. If it were me, I simply wouldn't thirst over a child that's also a colonizer, but Anam Pakal, 1000th Moon. 1 red and a white for a 1/2 legendary human soldier that says whenever you attack with one or more non-gnome creatures, you put a 1/1 counter on Anam Pakal, then create X 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of counters on this card. Yeah, this card gets big. We saw Z have this at the pre-release, and this card got out of hand there. This is kind of in the line of Goblin Rabble Masters, Goblin, the Legion War Boss style cards. That said, this card has a couple of, it's Krenko, basically. But Krenko can, how do I word this? Krenko needs to attack in order for this, for it to get going. This card needs something else or itself to attack, which is kind of neat. But Krenko makes relevant cards. The deck that wants to play this card, I don't know if they're really going to take advantage of the fact that you're making artifact tokens. Yeah, this is this is a hard one, because it's this style of card is pretty strong and it can get out of hand. Right? This is the kind of card that can single-handedly win a game. But it's coming off to me as the worst version of these effects. And What is it? Krenko Street Kingpin is the closest comparison mechanically. Krenko is a goblin and makes more goblins and gets bigger from your other goblins, so it makes more goblins, or your pump spells, or other cards that you're just going to... Oh, Tin Street Kingpin, that's what it is. Krenko just like synergizes with everything that Goblins is looking to do. And then even if you're a non-Goblin deck that wants that kind of card, you might just play other ways of buffing it. This only gets bigger by 1 every single time. Yeah, it's just... This is like the worst of them. It's probably still fine because these cards are always kind of good. But I'm not... I wouldn't expect this card to find an immediate home in Canlander, and maybe like Boros Humans for Gladiator. I don't know. It's any creature that makes other additional bodies is like worth looking at. I'm just not as excited with this one comparatively to other variants of this card. Bartolome del Presidio. Bartolome del Presidio. It's either Presidio or Presidio. I think it's Presidio. White and a black for a 2/1 legendary vampire knight. Sack another creature or artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Bartolome. This is pretty fucking good. It is another free sack outlet on a 2-drop, and it's in the right colors. So it's a free instant speed sack outlet in the right colors at 2 mana, and it's permanent. So Blood Throne Vampire is a 2 mana sack outlet that gets +2/+2, and it's a 1/1. Cartel Aristocrat, sack another thing and give a protection from a color. These are all effects that, while fine in the moment, they don't really do anything beyond that initial turn. This card is going to be a slam dunk in any kind of Aristocrats deck, any creature combo deck that wants sacrifice effects, whatever. There are 2 downsides for this, although one of them is kind of half of a downside. The first one is that you have to sacrifice another creature, meaning that you can't slam a Pattern of Rebirth on this card and then sacrifice it to just go and find like a big utility creature or whatever, which is a pretty common play pattern that can show up in Sandy B. The other one is that it's legendary, which for Canlander is a little more relevant with Caracas in mind, but it's a 2-drop. If they're Caraxing this, it's probably too late anyways. And that might actually be the fact that this is legendary might actually just be a benefit to the card, because now you have a cheaper legendary creature that you can find off of Time of Need. Before, you could only find Virals. Virals is a legendary sack outlet that costs 3 mana. Virals you can find off Green Sun Zenith, which is kind of nice. But if you're playing the version of Sandy B with Time of Need, you can Time of Need for it. If you're playing the version of this combo deck with Samwise Gamgee in it, you can also just... This could be in your graveyard, and you can return it to your hand by sacrificing some foods. And then you can go off at a later date, which I think is pretty cool. Some added flexibility. Yeah, or Caracas yourself to save it. It's not all downside. Sacking artifacts is also kind of neat, although that's probably more relevant in Gladiator when this shows up, because you're going to have cards, you might run into playing this in like an Abzan creature combo deck that makes a bunch of food tokens off of Pippin and I don't know, like Tireless Provisioner, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Pretty cool. Cool card. Very good Magic card. Sure, let's just talk about all these legends. Caparocti. Caparocti Sunborn, 2 red and a white for a 4/4 legendary human soldier. Whenever it attacks, you can tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. If you do, discover 3. Cool. This is just it's kind of cool that it's like a 4 mana 4/4 that attacks and discovers. I don't know. It's kind of a new it's a cool thing. We didn't really need to talk about this card. We didn't really need to talk about this card. It does feel, I'm kind of with you, Elf Lawyer. It does feel like this card, I'm shocked that this card, I mean, if it has Vigilance, it could tap itself with this. You could just make it other cards. If it has First Strike, that's kind of cool. L was high on this for Gladiator. I don't know. This is a 4 mana 4/4 that doesn't do anything the turn it comes into play. Yeah, that's just like thinking of the other 4-drops that you can play in Boros at this mana, including in humans. Like this is just there's got to be better stuff that you can do. It's kind of cool though. Like I like that you can tap your artifacts and whatnot. Ooh, Captain Storm. Blue and a red for a 2/2 legendary human pirate. Whenever an artifact ETB is under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on target pirate you control, which could just be this card. I don't think there's a pirate deck for sure, but this card has popped up. People asked me about this card in like aggressive blue-red artifact decks, like Bomad Courier, Kappa Cannoneer style decks, because it does get very big. The problem is that one itself, it is not an artifact. It has only colored pips of mana, and it gets Caracased. So if you put a bunch of counters on it, and they just Caracas it, it feels pretty bad. Yeah, this card is. I mean, if this card shows up in Gladiator, like an aggressive, like blue-red or blue-red X artifact deck, then cool. Yeah. She's a lady that can become large, therefore the internet loves her. That's true. That's why the internet really loved that 17-year-old that 17-year-old colonialist, right? Anywho. The internet's so funny and incredibly predictable. Incredibly predictable. Deep Fathom Echo. 2 green and a blue for a 4/4 Merfolk Spirit. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Deep Fathom Echo explores. Then you may have it become a copy of another creature you control until end of turn. This is kind of a weird one. I didn't consider this card for Highlander Merfolk because, well, it's a 4-drop. It's very big. And on one hand, it doesn't really have an immediate kind of effect. I mean, getting to explore is an immediate effect. I guess you could play this at the top of your curve, copy one of your lords, like explore and then copy a lord to give an immediate kind of boost to your team. And if you don't have a board, you can just get a 4/4 that gets to explore every single turn, you know? Which is pretty cool. That's it. I think for Gladiator Merfolk, this is going to be a bit better because you lack access to some of the other pretty strong Merfolk that you'll find from the history of the game, although not that many nowadays. But yeah, it's a neat little curve topper. Probably going to show up in Gladiator more than Highlander. Oh, there's another. Oh no, this is the baby. I see. Jisath Sun's Avatar. 5 red, green, and a white for a 7/6 legendary Dino Avatar with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put any number of dinosaur. Wait, is this actual Jisath? Oh, this is just this is the same card? Are you fucking kidding me? Ah! I didn't know this is the same card. I opened like 2 of these. Okay. Shows how little I played dinosaurs. I'm not doing a bit. It's a dinosaur card. Somebody donate $5. Just skip it? No, I'll save your money. I'll just do it myself. That's so funny. I didn't even realize. Didn't even realize. Oh, to reread it. Yeah.
Ah, another one.
Oh, an anonymous gifter gifted a sub to the Hermit AT. Wow. In the presence of Highlander royalty. Thank you, anonymous. Do you want me to go back and read? I mean, this would, you'd have to dox yourself. To go back and read that Dino again. It's Quinth, or it's Quinth. It's Quinth, firstborn of Gisath. Or Gishath. It's Quinth. Red and a green for a 2/3 legendary Dino with haste. When it ETBs, you may pay 2 generic. When you do, target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Sure. Yeah, for 4 mana, you can have it be like a I mean, it's an FTK in a way. It's an FTK with haste, which is kind of wild. But it's what's it like a Mardu Heart Piercer kind of card? Yeah, it's a little, it's fine. Yeah, twin shot sniper. Like, the fact that you can just play this as a 2-power haste creature is a 2-power haste creature that attacks into other bears and survives shocks is kind of nice. And then later on, you can have a DTB and kill a thing. It's also kind of funny that if you're playing this in Highlander, like, you could just play this with your own Caracas. I'm going to mention Caracas a lot because any legendary creature that gets brought off, you kind of have to think about it in the context of a format with Caracas and with free crop rotation. That's kind of funny. Yeah, this card's all right. I mean, obviously it's pretty strong in limited, you know. Yeah, it's still very big. I love how it's a tiny baby that's still humongous. And so you have to have birds for scale. Okay, but how big are these birds? So what are these? What are we looking about? Are these birds of paradise? They kind of look like birds of paradise. How big is Gisath? Like, no way these are like full-size pterodons. Where's the foliage? I need some foliage for scale. So big. Kellen, Daring Traveler. 1 and a white for a legendary human fairy scout. It's a 2/3. Whenever Kellen attacks, you can reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card with mana value 3 or less, you may put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it into the graveyard. So Kellen effectively explores, but for AB creatures. Cool. And then it has an adventure. Journey On. For a green sorcery, you create X map tokens, where X is 1 plus the number of opponents who control an artifact. So, I mean, turn 1, make a map. Turn 2, play Kellen. That's not that bad. Like, I think this card's pretty good. It just has a lot of value associated with it. Like the fact that you just like get this map token. Map tokens I think are great, right? Because it's either going to mean that this Kellen is attacking is 1 plus the number of, well, no, they might not have an artifact. I'm like, the floor of like playing this on turn 1 is that you just like play this, make a map, untap, play Kellen. You got a 2/3, then you untap, and you immediately get Kellen to explore. So you're either drawing a card there from the explorer, or you're making this a 3/4. This attacks. You get to do more shenanigans with the top of your deck, potentially drawing more cards. I think this card's pretty good. I'll give him a shot in like the green-white humans deck for Gladiator. I I think it has, I think it's got maybe enough game to just try without the adventure, but I really like the adventure part of this. It really sells this card, especially when you draw it in the mid to late game. Cool Kellen. It's kind of just, this is something with modern sets that pops up where it's just like, this is a bunch of card advantage and like the stat line is okay, but it's not like the most impressive thing. Like it doesn't just flat out say no or get you immediate advantage. I mean, you get something, you get a map token, but also I look at it, I'm like, cool. Am I really playing this? Maybe, probably. It seems good enough. Are you a mythic? No, you're a rare. I have this card somewhere. Yeah, I don't, it's something I think about with modern creatures, especially like, when they're 2-drops or 3-drops, I'm like, this doesn't tell my opponent no. This doesn't kill something immediately. It doesn't draw me a card directly. Like it provides contextual value across a couple different turns. I think it's good. Any card that has an adventure is just better than it looks anyways. So, you know. Kutsil Malamet Exemplar. 1 green and a white for a 3/3 legendary cat warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Whenever one or more creatures you control whenever more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Yeah, this cat's fine. I don't think this is something where I know CDH players are hooting and hollering over it, but they have 3 opponents that are trying to ruin their day. And we only have 1. Like a 3 mana for a 3/3 with no ETB is fine. I guess this can occasionally do something if you buff it or buff your other stuff, but I don't know. I'm not super impressed with this card. That whole your opponents can't cast spells during your turn is just like a line of text that people tend to always overrate or overvalue. It's I'll play this in cats. I'll play this in cats. CDH is garbage? I disagree. I think there are a lot of people there. I mean, I'll tell you this, not to get too controversial, but I think it's okay considering some of the news that is being shared on Twitter. If you wanted to find that out yourself. I think CDH is cool, but I do think CDH events CDH events or CDH, the format, can tend to attract a type of shitty human being, you know? I like CDH. I mean, it's just Commander, except everybody's on the same level. But yeah, there's a certain type of player that is attracted to that kind of thing that also is pretty attracted to the idea of the blockchain. You know, like it's the kind of thing where crypto bros and finance bros have like really gotten into it, and it leads to some pretty shitty environments. And yeah, what happened on Twitter? Bunch of cheating Nazis. You all right there, distrust dating spectator? You having a day there, champ? What's going on? They well, there was a what is it? What's I forget what the organization is. Is it the Mox Masters? I don't know. You can find it out. There was something about not paying judges, which is pretty shitty. Lotus Con. Yeah. That sounds pretty shitty. I'm not going to talk about this card for strategic purposes, but I do love this kind of thing. Master's Guide Mural. So 3 white and a blue for an artifact. When it ETBs, it makes a 4/4 golem, and then you can craft with an artifact for 7. So I mean, this makes it makes a thing. Oh, it's Monarch Media. Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard bad things about that from people as well. And then it transforms into Master's Manufactory, which is an artifact that taps to make golem tokens. And you can activate it only if another artifact entered if it or another artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for this. Not just because I opened 2 of this in my pre-release pool, my PPR pool. And last minute, James was like, I need you to play blue. And I'm like, what? He's like, nobody's playing blue. Can you please play blue? I'm like, yeah, I can go 3 color. And I didn't think I had enough blue, but I ended up making it work a little bit. And it's just a golem factory. Like, if you've been here since the beginning, you'll know that golem factory is a term that I've used to describe a very specific style of commander deck that I like to play, where it's just generate as many golems as possible. I like golems. They're great. So yeah, this is a golem that makes golems. I need you to throw the PPR Turner. Oh. I need you to throw. I just like it. Oh, and because somebody is going to point it out 100%, I guess I should get ahead of it. The Fomori are a foul and distant memory, but their war machines taught us much about the large-scale armor craft. The Fomori, right? Like Ruhan of the Fomori and Fomori No Bad and Did you already say it? Did you get ahead of me before? Yeah, hey, it's the Fomori. Wow, look, they mentioned the Fomori. I do think this is extremely cool. It's just seen a lot of stuff about it. Seen a lot of stuff about it. And it's just like, yeah, they're here. That's cool. Rocket Fins, welcome back for the 51st month. What up? How you doing? How you been? Glad to have you, and Mayor said good to see you. Thank you for all the support. Golem maxing. Molten Collapse. Black and a red for a sorcery. You choose one. If you descended this turn, you can choose both instead. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, and destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. This card is so funny to me. Like, Dreadbore is already such a very it's such a good Magic card. And if you are in black and red in Canlander, you should be playing Dreadbore. Although now you should probably just be playing Molten Collapse. That said, you could probably play both. Like if I'm playing like Mardu Initiative or like a Jund mid-range deck, like I'd play both. They're good enough. And yeah, this is Dreadbore that has more flexibility because you can blow up somebody's Shadow Spear or Skull Clamp or Aether Vial, get their Mox, whatever. You can get their Elephant Grass. I was trying to think of some 1 mana enchantment. Elephant Grass. People fucking lose their mind. Pyro gets so mad, breaks their monitor. Yeah, it can kill stuff. Yeah, hit their wild growth. Sure, why not? And all you got to do is crack a fetch. Or have a bauble go to the graveyard. Or a creature died in combat. Or anything. Fuck, it doesn't take much. You just have to descend. Which is pretty cool to get both. Little bit of a spoiler alert. There was a game... a game against Surge when I played Mardu Initiative, and I got to do just that. I cracked a fetch land, I killed their Shadow Spear, and I killed Surge's Shadow Spear and creature, and then I just went in. Yeah. Cool Magic card. Play this in all the formats it's legal that we're talking about here. This card I don't think is playable, but I really do like this art. Not to reinforce my whole love of fish women or anything. I can't even what is it? Current Conductor? A Conzeal? Current Conductor? I do think this card's really cool. 2 mana, 2/3 Merfolk Scout. It's a legend. Whenever a creature you control explores a land, you can put a land from your hand into play tapped. And then whenever there's some Fimin is very funny to me. I don't know why Fimin is just Fimin. Whenever a creature you control explores a non-land card, you put a 1/1 counter on Nikonziel. That's pretty cool and good. This is like a build around card. Big fan. I mean, I don't think I'm playing it in anything. Maybe if I build an Explore Commander deck, sure. But yeah, cool card. Look out, chat. She might arbitrarily be 17. Everybody, look, if anything, this is just a good lesson to never get horny on the internet, or at least to take a break once in a while. Jesus Christ. Palans Hatcher. 3 red and a green for a 5/3 dinosaur. Other dinosaurs you control have haste, and when Palans Hatcher enters the battlefield, you create 2 0/1 green dinosaur egg creature tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 1 or more eggs, you sacrifice an egg and then create a 3/3 dino. Very cool, very good. I don't know. This is something where I don't think it's playable in either of the formats, but I talked about this on a tap concede that I imagine is coming out on Monday or the week after that sometime, where this is like such a cool kind of approach to rares. I think like I'm starting to warm up to this approach to rares, where you look at this card and you're like, wow, that's a lot of fucking value right there. And then you're like, oh, a braid is a common in this set. Cool. Right? Like this thing itself doesn't have trample. You can, and like if you kill this with an abrade or whatever before you get to combat, then they're just stuck with some O1s, which is okay. Yeah, I think this card's pretty cool. I mean, it's a little inoffensive. The art is great because it's just there's like barely any dinosaur. It's all neck. Just all neck all the time. And also Palani is Atla Palani, so egg. I mean, you gotta like that. Who doesn't like egg? Pharmacist Judge, welcome back for the 2nd year. Jesus Louises. How much of this set is adorable but not playable? I mean, the artwork in this set is some of the best of all time. Like, hands down. It is gorgeous. And yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, the raccoon that we were talking about, is it cute? Yeah. Is it playable? Maybe we'll try to find a spot to play it. The capybara, is it cute? Yeah. Is it playable? I don't know. Probably not, but you know, there was a time where I played Moldgraft Scavenger in Highlander, so there's that. Scav. Yeah, I really like this card for the extended art. Again, we talked about this on Tap. I like that there's like a little hop. Like the dinosaur in the back looks like it's really excited. Like it's kind of like hopping a little bit. I got a Glock in my Ferrari. 17 shots, no 38. Yeah, this artwork is great. And it's available in foil. Neck plus dino. Yeah, you get the full package for this one. Coconut doggy. Did I talk about the gnome tote bag? Oh, the 3 mana one? No, because I don't think it's playable. But it does make 3 artifacts for the price of 1. I did talk about it on Tap, but not here. Quintorius. I'm gonna show off the normal art, then I'll show off the fancy art that fucking Surge stole from me. Quintorius Canned. 3 red and a white for a legendary planeswalker. Quintorius. 4 loyalty. A static ability with whenever you cast a spell from exile, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. And it has +1, make a 3/2 spirit token. -3, discover 4. And then -6, exile any number of target cards from your graveyard. Add a red for each of those cards exiled this way. You can play those cards this turn. Don't know how I feel about this card. I can't give a good analysis on this card for Gladiator, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think I know how I feel about this card in Highlander. But for Gladiator, like, if you are... I mean, I imagine Angel's going to try this in Boros Control. Like, if you're playing, like, a 3-color Super Friends deck, like, this card is fine. It can... Typically in those decks, if you're discovering 4, you're either hitting a Wrath or you're hitting another Planeswalker, which is pretty good. Both of those things are all right to have, even if this just leaves it on 1 loyalty. But like playing this card and ticking it up is a lot, right? Like playing this card, making a 3/2, and then having this at 5 loyalty means it's not the easiest thing to attack into. And even if they do attack into it, that's a reasonable amount of loyalty. This static is probably going to pop up a couple of times. This isn't the kind of card where like you should be all about the static ability, which there was the North 100 set review. Serge mentioned the static ability a bunch of times. I'm like, buddy, I'm just here for this elephant making tokens. So yeah, Gladiator, I don't know. I'm just going to be upfront. Don't know. Probably we'll see play in like a very niche scenario. Canlander, same thing. Niche scenario. But like if you're playing the Boros Wildfire deck, like, yeah, this just casts another Planeswalker. I guess it can cast some, Mana Rocks, and that's pretty bad, but making 3/2s is pretty all right for it. You need a density of these cards, and your deck's already kind of dog shit. So just like, sure, why not play one more bad card? Something that I talk about on the North 100 set review, and that I'll mention here, is that like, when you're looking at cards like this, and you're talking about whether or not it's good enough, it's just like, you've already made the decision. Like, if you're playing this card, you probably don't have the most strategic goal. Like, your goal isn't to build the most strategically viable deck, right? So if we're past that point, then it's like, okay, I've kind of resolved that I built a deck that wasn't Jeskai Beans or like Breach combo or Paradox or D&T or whatever. So am I playing this in that deck? It's like, well, what does that deck want to do? And it's like, yeah, it just wants to put out a bunch of Planeswalkers and protect itself and occasionally cast like Wildfires and Wrath effects. So in that case, then yeah, sure, this card will show up. But you kind of know what you're in for when you're doing that, And then there's this art. This art's banging. Look at that. Holy. Very pretty. And unfortunately, that rat bastard Serge Jaeger took the copy and ran back to Alberta. Unbelievable. He took my elephant. He took my elephant. Saheeli, the Sun's Brilliance. Blue and a red for a 2/2 legendary human artificer. Play a blue and a red, tap, make a token that's a copy of another target creature or artifact you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sack it at the beginning of the next end step. Great. I like this card a lot. It's a kind of card where, get it right out of the way. Cheap legend without an ETB. But, and its activated ability is not nothing, right? 2 mana and both colored pips of mana. Holy shit. Honey! Somebody in chat said, my girlfriend just asked me why I'm listening to Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows, and now I can't unhear it. That's the nicest compliment that I've ever received. Huh? Kiefer says that is so kind. It's so funny. Kiefer and I started I was watching What We Do in the Shadows, and Kiefer was I watched way too much of that. I devoured all of it. And I like Matt Berry. I know who Matt Berry is. But I'm not like oh my god, he's the best thing in the world. But then as I'm watching the show, Kiefer's just like, you just like this guy because he talks like you. I don't talk like that. Anywho, that's the kindest thing anybody's ever said to me. Thank you. Okay, let's talk Saheeli. It's a bit expensive for that ability, at least for colored costs, and it doesn't have an ETB. So getting that out of the way, but that's okay. It's cheap enough to play. 2 mana for a 2/2, pretty all right. Human and Artificer, not that bad. If we're on the like Cavern of Souls Artificer deck, I'm thinking about this for Canlander, by the way. I'm convinced this card's good. I'm convinced this card's good. Like, even if it is just like cashing into more Ichor Wellsprings, making duplicate Baleful Strixes, like the smaller things, right? Even if this is make a copy of my Aether Spellbomb and bounce your creature, I'm okay with that. It's cheap enough. It's repeatable. It's instant speed. It copies your cheap artifacts. It copies your Trinket Mage, making additional constructs. It's this card slaps. I think it's pretty good. I'm interested in trying this out in Gladiator and Canadian Highlander. I'm very excited for Canlander because I'm gonna make so many Kappa Cannoneers and just kill people dead. That's the goal. That's the goal. Makes me want to brew when this set gets added to Magic Online. I'll brew up the Jeskai Artificer combo, or the Jeskai Artificer mid-rangey combo deck again, and kill people dead. Yeah, that's the plan. Two paradox engines. All right, I'm gonna stop reading all the Matt Berry impressions in chat. Sovereign Okinek Aho. Sovereign Okinek Ahau, I believe. 2 green and a white for a 3/4 legendary Cat Noble with Ward 2. And says whenever Sovereign Okinek Ahau attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of 1/1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. Each creature you control with power greater than its base power, put a counter on it on that creature equal to the difference. So if you have a 2/1, if you have a 1/1 creature that is receiving a benefit of +1/+0, when this attacks, you would put a 1/1 counter on it because there's a difference. If there's a Bone Splitter attached to it, then there's a 2 power difference, so you'd put 2 counters on it. What I'm trying to get at is this card's bad. Squirming Emergence. 1 black and a green for a sorcery with Fathomless Descent. Return to the battlefield target non-land permanent you control in your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. So, this is a card where people are gonna like, okay. I think this card's bad because it's inconsistent. It can hit anything, which is cool, but it's just it lacks the synergy or combo potential of the other cards that can hit anything in decks that can really dump their graveyard. Like if you are a big dumpies deck for Gladiator, then sure, give it a shot, right? You might be able to return your 3-drop or your 4-drop or whatever. Or if you're going ham. I get why they have target non-land permanent, but that also kind of stinks. Hitting lands off these cards is like the default of just like, oh, well, I want to use my mana. I guess I'm just going to ramp. Like, I get why they do it, but yeah, I kind of wish they did. Like, I kind of wish it was like return target land or non-land permanent that has mana value with wait, hold on. They just let you return a land. Why can't you return a land? Just let me return a fucking land. Yeah, not a fan of this card. Not a fan. Too many hoops. Speaking of bad Magic cards, the Ancient One. Blue and a black for an 8/8 legendary spirit god with Descend 8. The Ancient One can't attack or block unless there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. And then you can pay 2, a blue and a black, to draw a card and then discard a card. When you discard a card this way, target player mills cards equal to its mana value. This is a card where I imagine it'll see play in like standard or 4-of formats where you play this with, what is it? Fight rigging, or you could play this with flings. That's kind of cool. It's just so difficult to actually get online. Obviously, it's very mana dependent if you want to start activating this ability. Plus, it's a loot, which is kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I'm going to do the classic Magic player punch up a card where it's like, it's odd that this ability, second ability, doesn't actually like draw you a card, or that, you know, this doesn't have any keywords or anything. Yeah, you can Ob Nixilis with this. That's kind of hot, but it's overall pretty mid to bad. Cool commander applications. Cool, like, take advantage of this card with fight rigging or Ob Nixilis or fling. But here it's just not doing anything. But it's a mythic rare. And if I didn't talk about it, somebody in the comments would be like, why did you dug above the bubba? You know? The Belligerent. 2 blue and a red for a 5/5 legendary artifact. It's a vehicle. Whenever the Belligerent attacks, create a treasure token. And until end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Crew 3. This is an extremely cool card to play as a Rule 0 commander. But other than that, unplayable. I just like, I like vehicles as commanders, you know? I think vehicles make really good Rule 0 commanders. And it's one that, Jesus, like myself and at least 5 other people on the RC or the CAG have like Rule 0 vehicle decks because this shit is just cool. So yeah, this is my video endorsement to having fun with your casual format. Yeah, Planeswalkers, but this, Rule 0 Shorokai. Oh, do I have news for you about Shorokai? The Myco Tyrant. 1 black and a green for a legendary Elder Fungus with Trample. And the Myco Tyrant's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungi and or saplings. Oh, I didn't notice that they have fungi in here. That's interesting. At the beginning of your end step, you create X 1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block, where X is the number of times you descended this turn. So 3 mana. The floor of this card is 3 mana 1/1 trample. That if something went to if you descended, you get to make a 1/1. Yeah. I think this card, I actually don't hate this card for Gladiator, like Self-Mill or Dredge Root Potato. Like, it's not, this card is not as egregious as some of the other cards that people have brought up for that archetype, because it goes tall and wide, right? It's tall and wide and benefits you for taking game actions that your deck is already going to take and lets you get it immediately, especially because that's a deck that might have like play a selection, like a Grizzly Salvage into this is like a play that you can make and pump out a bunch of tokens. And I think that's cool. What else is tall and wide? Me? Where are you going with this? Is it going to be me? Somebody's hog? What? Where are we going, Sibwow? Where are we going on this journey? Don't have an answer? All right. Yeah, this card's kind of cool. Also, just like, look at this fucker. What is it, this? He looks so goofy. Yeah, very cool. Very cool card. Vito, Fanatic of Aclazotz. 2 white and a black for a 4/4 flying vampire demon, and it's a legend. It says, whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life if this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn. If it's the second time, each opponent loses 2 life. And if it's the third time, create a 4/3 black vampire demon creature token with flying. So there was a card that came out in Dominaria United. Somebody help me out with this. It came out on Dominaria United, and it was black. Is it Verac? Thank you. Verac Warp Sengir. The 3 mana 2/2 flyer death touch lifelink that when you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, if life is spent to activate it, you can pay that much life and copy it and stuff. It's not the exact same thing, but I feel like anytime somebody sees like a line of text that synergizes well with fetch lands, they lose their mind. But this is an expensive card, and it doesn't replace itself. So it kind of loses the like Molten Collapse, right? That card is always good, and then if you take a single game action that your deck is always going to do, fetch a land, crack an Urza's Bauble, something like that, then you get a little extra juice. But this is just kind of a donkey, right? Like, the first time you sack a thing isn't even that great. Just like gain 2 life, cool. Second time you sack a thing, they lose 2 life. Sure, I've drained you for 2. Congratulations, we're now Vran. And then the third time you make a 4/3, which is pretty cool. That is big. But it's only on those first 3 times. It doesn't really have the blowout potential of other top ends for aristocrats or vampires. Like, this is no Sanctum Seeker. This is not a Falconwrath aristocrat card. This is not super exciting. But I gotta tell you this. It's exciting because this is a mythic rare. So if this is what this card in like Ancient One, if this is what they're putting at mythic, right? That's good. We want that. That means that, like, if this is the course that we're getting as like a subtle depowering, and like, yeah, this is going to be somebody's wicked cool commander, like, sure, why not? I'm okay with this. Yeah, this is more in line with what it feels like mythics should be. It's the guy. It's my cousin Vito. He's back on a magic card. Of course he's a mythic. Look at him. He's a demon now. Great. More of this. Whale of the Forgotten. Blue and a black for a sorcery with Descend 8. Choose 1. If there are 8 or more permanents in your graveyard as you cast a spell, choose 1 or more instead. Return target online permanent to its owner's hand. Target opponent discards a card. Or look at the top 3 cards of your library, 1 into your hand, the rest in the graveyard. So here's the thing. You can ignore this line of text. Like, 8 or more permanents? That's fucked, right? The third mode of this is just strategic planning or ransack the laboratory. Those are magic cards that see less play nowadays, but they do see some play in combo decks, right? They see play in Black Lotus, Yawgmoth's Will, Underworld Breach combo decks in Canadian Highlander, and in Reanimator decks for Gladiator, right? Occasionally. But then you have the added benefit of, like, you can just emergency just bounce a thing, you know? Like, this is a card where if this didn't have Descend 8 and didn't have, like, if it didn't have Descend 8, it was just like, hey, you get to bounce a non-land permanent, or you get to cast this magic card that you already have in your deck. Cool. Like, sure, I'll play those. Sometimes you might make them discard a card. I don't know. Maybe if I've like cast a Yawgmoth's Will and I'm recasting this, I make them discard a card. Descend 8 is going to very rarely show up. Like, maybe if you play this in like Reanimator and Canlander, which I will, it can happen like late in the game. But I'm okay even if we don't get to there. Like, this is a cool role player that we already want to play, and sometimes we already do play. I'll take an extra copy of it that pitches the Force of Will, you know? Sure, fine. The sorcery part, I mean, all these cards are already sorcery. This is just a better version of a card that we already have and we already play that has some more flexibility. And occasionally you feel like a god. Oh no. Zoyoa Lava Tongue. Black and red for a 2/2 legendary goblin warlock with death touch. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, each opponent may discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. Zoyoa deals 3 damage to each opponent who didn't. This card is not good enough. Are people going to be horny for this one? Maybe for this art. I know Mink was champing at the bit to get this card on screen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to badmouth a goblin here, but like, this is just a 2-mana 2/2 with death touch, right? Like, this will probably show up in some goblin lists. I don't think it's exactly revolutionizing goblins, but it's just like, okay, so first I did descend. Then you get a choice or another choice or a third choice, right? Like, this is if you descend on your end step, your opponent gets 3 choices. They could either pitch a card, sack a permanent, or get 3 damage dealt to them, you know? And like, in theory, those are all good things that you want to have happen when you're playing goblins, but when you put it all together, it just like isn't impactful enough and doesn't actually really progress like the goblin game plan. I mean, the 3 damage can. Like, the ideal scenario is you like sacrifice a land, like a fetch land, and play this on turn 2, and you like dome them for 3, and you're like, fuck yeah. And like, because of that, this card might end up seeing play in Gladiator Goblins, or even in like Rakdos Aristocrats, like an Aristocrats deck that is lower on colors. This could show up. It's just not that exciting. It might make a pretty funny commander deck idea. Okay, go with me on this journey. Okay, so we have 2 options. One, where's the art that I want? There's the art that I want. Okay. This is a really good commander deck idea. What if we built a commander deck that was just a bunch of really angry babies? It's just a bunch of angry babies. Just like tantrum typal. Oh my god. That's so, this is just they don't even have to be angry babies. Just twitchchat.deck. Yeah, babyrage.deck. Fuck, I think that's pretty funny. Bet you won't. Wait, did it? Bet you won't. You already have a giant angry baby deck? Tantrums.deck is pretty funny. Why is Child of Lara not child creature type? Oh, because it's a Lara. Anyways, just a bunch of like fat, nude, like whiny babies. I think that's a good bit. I think that's a good bit. Math and June, welcome back for the 52nd month. Huh, baby deck. Do. Thank you for the support. How you doing? How you been? Glad to have you. Good to see you. What up? I am onto artifacts now. Do I want to put something cool on the screen? I don't know. Brainstorm some babies. You know what? Hold on. Somebody has a Scryfall tag for baby. So I think it's kind of funny if somebody comes into the screen. I'm going to go take some medicine. Wink. Legal commander. How come anger isn't here? No, this isn't right at all. This isn't where anger isn't technically. Are you kidding me? That card is a baby. People have called anger angry baby since like that card came out. All right. I'm going to very quickly go take some meds. I will be back in like 2 minutes. Enjoy these babies and talk about your how is this a baby? Is there a baby in here? Talk about your angry baby deck. And when we come back, we'll oh, bottom left. We'll talk shop. We'll talk shop. Although I don't think I want this on the screen. Maybe I should just put maybe we should just put this on the screen. Okay. All right, I'll be right back. Holy crap. What happened to this baby? So, funny story. I go downstairs, take my medicine, and I open my phone to listen to some music. I don't even know if this is going to show up. Have I ever shown my phone screen off to Twitch? Does everybody know what my phone's... It will be a funny story. Is it Monkey? No. It's Van Gogh's Ugly Baby. My phone screen is Van Gogh's Ugly Baby. And I get downstairs and I'm about to listen to some music. And what is the song that I was last listening to? Pitch the Baby by the Cocteau Twins. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. This baby deck's going to be pretty good. Mark my words. The simulation is glitching. All right. Artifacts. Not good. I mean, this card's kind of interesting to talk about. Buried Treasure, 2-mana artifact, tap, sack it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Then you can pay 5 and exile it from your graveyard to discover 5. The upfront cost of playing this is, well, genuinely a cost. Excuse me, it's a cost. It's just that. But getting to exile it from your graveyard to discover 5 is pretty hot, you know? It's pretty reasonable. Like, I'm okay with that. Wait, what? You know, it's the Wheeler difference. It's the Wheeler difference. Really glad to see all our hard work paying off. You know? Oh, shit. I just think it's really funny that you have, like, Sirkovitz, who does the, they do, like, magic data analysis. There was a Ristic Studies video involving them that went up somewhat recently. You got Misplaced Ginger, great Magic player. You got Tony Scapone, great Magic player. You got Michael Jacobs, great Magic player. And then you have a big fucking baby on screen where the streamer's camera is just pitch black. You know, I hope when you show up to this stream, you're here for the content, you know? And yeah, Tony has baby in the title. No way. No. We gotta abort. We gotta go. Well, shouldn't say abort. We gotta dip. All right, it's too... The simulation is crumbling. Let's see. I mean, this card's kind of fun to talk about. Chimil, the Inner Sun. 6-mana legendary artifact. Spells you control can't be countered, and at the beginning of your end step, you discover 5. I bet this card could show up, and, you know, this card could maybe show up into some of the artifacts, some of the Gladiator artifact decks. It's, you know. Sibo, what's going on? What's going on, Sibo? You okay? You having a day? You having a day there, champ? So is the music still going? Okay, good. Wait, no, it's not. What do you mean audio track is unavailable? What do you mean the bank's out of money? The music stopped and nobody told me? Wow. You're having personal issues, it's fine. Yeah, DMs are always open. Anywho, this card has a lot of text on it that looks very appealing. But ultimately, I think you're more into playing, you know, does it? Yeah, I mean, people love seeing spells can't be countered. People love getting a free card every single turn. The thing is that, like, the thing that larger mana artifact decks are worried about is not counter magic. It's, you know, dying. And this doesn't really stop that. Not to mention a deck that has a bunch of artifact acceleration to get this ahead of the curve, or a bunch of like eggs or cards that replace themselves that just get to sit and be artifacts. It's just like you can ramp into this to just discover another ramp card and you're like, cool, great. I play this one, we can win. I mean, sometimes you gotta treat yourself a little bit, but yeah, I'm there with you. Ah, my favorite name, Contested Game Ball. Great. All the artifacts, all the colorless artifacts kind of stink. I mean, we could talk about this card because, well, this one's a little different. No, don't save it. Motzalantli, the Great Door, a 3-mana legendary artifact that taps to draw a card and then discard a card. And it has 4 and tap. Transform Motzalantli, the Great Door. Activate only if there are 4 or more other permanent types among cards in your graveyard. So this is a 3-mana artifact that just taps and loots the turn you play it, which is not great. But if you manage to get, I guess, Delirium going on, which is kind of funny. Obviously, it doesn't count instant sorceries. You can transform it into the Core, a legendary land that taps to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. I've played worse cards. I've played worse cards in Paradox decks and Gladiator. Like the artifact decks and Gladiator, if you're trying to do the combo stuff, this card's not that bad to get going with Paradox, right? Like every cast you get to draw an extra card. That's real. And then obviously if you get to transform this is your mana rock when you're comboing with Paradox. And artifact decks typically are, it's easy for artifact decks to hit Delirium, or in this case, especially permanent based Delirium, because like, yeah, your creatures are there to get played, block, and die. Or, oh right, it becomes a land, not another artifact. I mean, it doesn't untap when you transform it. Never mind, card sucks. Moving on. This card, Roaming Throne. I kind of just want to look at this artwork. 4 mana, 4/4. It's an artifact creature, a golem with ward 2. As it comes into play, you pick a card type. It's the chosen type in addition to its other types. And then triggered abilities of another creature with that type trigger twice. I think it's a little too cute for constructed, but this is going to be a banger of a commander card for sure. And look at this artwork. I mean, Jesus, that's pretty good. That's some powerful artwork right there. Sorceress Spyglass. This card, I saw this on Twitter. I saw somebody, I'm not going to mention who they are because we already bullied them once during the set review. And I have no beef with them, but I found this to be a rather funny take. So there's Sunbird Standard, 3-mana artifact, tapped at 1 mana of any color, and you can craft with one or more. Wait, craft with 1 or more for 5. Sorry, in my head I was like, You pay 5 generic, exile this artifact, and then exile 1 or more other permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard. And then this comes back. Yeah. Craft with one or more. One or more what? And it becomes Sunbird Effigy. Star, Flying Vigilance Haste. Has power and toughness equal to the number of colors among the exiled cards used to craft it. And then you can tap it for each color among the exiled cards used to craft Sunbird Effigy at 1 mana of that color. So it's a 3 mana artifact that ramps. It's a manolith, right? Which is not super exciting. But in a 5-color deck, right? Having a manolith isn't the end of the world, right? I mean, how often... if you are building a 5-color deck, how often does Chromatic Lantern's additional ability actually step up, you know? But then crafting this, if you end up crafting Wooburg, then it just becomes a 5/5 Flying Vigilance Haste Parrot that taps for Wooburg. Like, that's pretty good. That's a powerful effect to have in Commander. I saw people poo-pooing on this, and it was just like, nah, this rules. Like, anytime you have an accelerant that then turns into a dragon that pays for itself, like that's kind of cool. I think people get a little too spoiled with their commander cards, you know? A little too spoiled. Oh, does this combo? 1 mana legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has vigilance. Whenever another artifact or creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on equipped creature and it equips for 2. Okay. Yeah, sure, why not? Ooh. Yeah. Empty Nest, welcome back for the 27th month. Gnomes are cute. Yeah, they're great. We're about to get to a big one. And Inside Pigeon, welcome back for the 53rd month. What up? How you doing? Thank you for all the support. Glad to have you. Good to see you. Thank you so much. It's a long ass time. Doesn't combo with Kitchen Things, unfortunately. Because you have to put it on the equipped creature. And, you know. Not this one. Not this one. This one. The Millennium Calendar. 1 mana legendary artifact. Whenever you untap one or more permanents during your untap step, put that many counters on the Millennium Calendar. Pay 2 generic, tap, double the number of time counters on the Millennium Calendar. And then when there are 1,000 or more time counters on the Millennium Calendar, you sacrifice it and each opponent loses 1,000 life. This is kind of the Helix Pinnacle style, hey, check out all these massive counters on my card and then I win the game. Thanks. Style of cards. 1,000 is fucked. I mean, it makes sense, right? But it is very funny to just like, you know, people are going to screw up with this and refuse to pull out their phone, like to just calc it. Instead, they're going to be like, no, I can get this. And then they'll forget. Or if you're representing it with dice and then just like all the dice get knocked over is kind of funny. Or that like if they gain infinite life, this can actually kill them. It's pretty cute. Yeah. The fact that it's one or more permanents untapped during your untap step, so they don't want any shenanigans involved with like things that can tap to untap itself. But yeah, this is a goofy commander card, and I don't know. It's a little less goofy, I think. Like if you can find it's a little less goofy than it first appears, is what I'm trying to say, because it's just like, okay, so if I'm a deck built around doing this, then I'm just going to be kind of playing solitaire, jerking off in the corner, maybe at the same time if we're lucky. And then the rest of the table is going to be like, oh, well, we should kill this calendar. I don't have anything to kill the calendar. Oh, well, we should kill this player instead. It's only like 10 activations to win. Yeah, when you're doubling it. I mean, you got to get up to a certain amount, 10 activations to win. What? I mean, it depends on how many things you untap with it first where you start. But yeah, it's doubling counters we get up there pretty quickly. Once you get to 50 counters on it, then it's game over. It's game over. But it's yeah, it's a card where it's in the line of cards where people look at it and they're like, whoa, this is so cool and goofy and out there, and I can't wait to have fun with this. And then you play and you're like, oh, but what about playing Magic the Gathering though? Can't we play Magic the Gathering instead of this card? Threefold Thunder Hulk. 7 mana 0/0 ETB with 3/1/1 counters on it. When it ETBs or attacks, you make a number of 1/1 artifact tokens equal to its power. And then you can pay 2, sack another artifact, put a 1/1 counter on it. I am a sucker for the Pentavis, Tetravis, what is it? Pentavis, Pentavis, Triskelevis, Thopter Squadron, that whole family. Any card that does this kind of thing, great. Big fan of it. Yeah, that's it. Also, just look at him. It's just a chubby buddy, you know? Yeah, Hexavis. Is that what that one's actually called? It's Asthanius making the comment, so it leads me to believe I'm getting trolled. But, you know, it's, I think it's the card you're talking about, right? Yeah, it's the real one. Okay. But you understand my hesitation. Jesus Louise. Throne of the Grim Captain. 2 mana legendary artifact. Tap to mill 2 cards. And then craft with a dinosaur, a merfolk, a pirate, and a vampire for 4 mana. This card sucks. I mean, I guess it's like a Shriekhorn. And it turns into the Grim Captain, a 7/7 skeleton pirate spirit with menace, trample, lifelink, and hexproof. And whenever the Grim Captain attacks, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent, then you may put an exiled creature card used to craft the Grim Captain onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attack. Cool, I guess. Unplayable, but very cool. This is a sick Rule 0 commander card. Oh, thank you. He forgot me. Oh, why is it so slimy? Yeah, slimy. I think it's... My husband tried to slime me live on camera. Can't believe Slime Man slimed me on camera. Fuck, I can't believe he got me with the slimy keychain. Can you craft this with just one changeling? No. You gotta do it with individual of each of them. I did say I was gonna try out Pirates, Dinos, Merfolk, and Vamps and Canlander. Not all in one. Please, not all in one. I saw somebody try this in draft, and it worked, which was kind of funny. But, yeah. This is the kind of card that if we do Ixalan drafts on stream, and I'm hoping to first pick this, and then try and build just a terrible deck. Just a terrible deck. Draft when? Oh, I've drafted this set like 5 times. It's, thanks the Ambassador program and, whatever the PPR qualifies for. This thing is like rude though, right? It's kind of like a, oh, cool, a Rule 0 commander, but this thing is like kind of messed up. It's so hard to get rid of, you know? Murlocs and Pirates used to be a tier 1 deck. Yeah, by themselves. Or you could be Murlocs with the Pirate package, but I don't know if having 2 South Sea Captain in your deck is... Anyways. Unless there was something from after after I stopped playing. Yeah, there's a treasure map reprint, which is pretty cool for standard. Obviously doesn't affect Gladiator or Highlander. Cavern of Souls. This is obviously a reprint, but this is a card that gets added to Gladiator, which is kind of cool. The whole uncounterable part of it is, I guess, kind of neat. But, you know, it's a little bit of a pisser. Counterspells are already dog shit. It's nice for multicolor typo decks to be able to just, like, cast their stuff, you know. That's it. It's a cool addition to the format. I think I need some water. 1 second. Christ, how much ash did I inhale? All these caves are pretty bad. We can talk about Echoing Deeps. It's a land, it's a cave. You may have it ETB tapped as a copy of any land in a graveyard, except it's a cave in addition to its types. And if you don't have it do that, it taps for a colorless. Cool. It's like a body double Vesuva style card. I think we now have like a proper Realms Uncharted pile with this, right? Like we have a Realms Uncharted, Find, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, Echoing Deeps, and what's the other one? Petrified Field, I guess? That sacks to return a land to your hand, which is kind of hot. I might give this a shot in Maze's End. I'd be more excited to play Vesuva than this card, but, you know, there's a chance this can copy something. My lands get Field of Ruined and all that jazz. So yeah, cool card that can fill out for these, like, degenerate land combo decks. Especially after crop rotation had its points removed. It's just something to explore, which is kind of cool. Play this in Dredge as a second copy of Bazaar. I think Dredge is great with exactly one Bazaar of Baghdad. Like, when you... I mean, maybe if you get 2 Bazaars going, then you can really pop off, but... Kind of cool with I was gonna say, oh sick, you can you can find Vesuva, Echoing Deeps, Cloud Post, and like Glimmer Post, or maybe Mirror Pool. I don't know. I was trying to come up with a bit. It's not really there. We can talk about the basic land art too. Kind of want to do that after. There's a cycle of lands, monocolored lands. They all enter the battlefield tapped. They add one of the colors, and then they have 4 in a blue, tap, sack it, discover 4. Well, they don't all have 4 in a blue. They all have 4 in a color, tap, sack it, discover 4. I think I'll try them in the monocolored decks in Gladiator, like the bigger decks. They are kind of in line with the lands from 1, like the autonomous, what is it? The autonomous furnace and surgical bay, that kind of stuff. They're just little cool inclusions. Yeah, big white, big black, big red, that kind of stuff. Pit of Offerings. This is such a weirdo card. I kind of love it. So it's a land that comes into play tapped. When it comes into play, you exile up to 3 target cards from graveyards, and you can tap it for a colorless or 1 mana of any of the exiled cards' colors. So it does give a land with graveyard hate, which is pretty cool. That isn't attached to an individual color. So for commander, like any deck gets a Bajuka Bog style card. But this can also just fix your mana. And it's not like from a single graveyard. So you could have this ETB and be like, muck one of my cards and muck two of your cards. So I have like enough, you know, the right colors of mana here. Yeah, I could see this maybe popping up in Gladiator. It's kind of nice that it just exists as a card. And it has some interesting play. You can pick it all, you know, you could just also hit the key cards from multiple players' graveyards, which is nice. It's just a nice quality of life upgrade. And I'm glad that we're getting this kind of, you know, that kind of treatment for some of these cards for Commander. Not unlike what happened with Field of Ruin and Demolition Field, you know? I'm not going to talk about the Vein. We can talk about these lands, though. There's a cycle of allied creature lands. We got the enemy colored ones in Wilds of Eldraine. If you are a 2-color deck, you are going to play these. Creature lands are always pretty good, even if they look like dog shit. You're always going to play them in a lower power format like Gladiator. Even when we get fetches, I think that'll be the case. Consistently underrated, undervalued. If Lava Claw Reaches was on Arena, I'd play it in black-red. Like, yeah, they're just good to have. Some of them are better than others. Restless Anchorage. This is the blue-white version that for 3 mana, it becomes a 2/3 bird with flying. And whenever it attacks, you make a map token. So the evasive ones are typically the best ones. This could be, I mean, Creeping Tar Pit is like, out of all of the creature lands, the dual creature lands, Creeping Tar Pit is the best one. Sorry, Colonnade lovers. I'm there with you. Love me a Celestial Colonnade, but, you know, Tar Pit still sees play in basically any non-combo blue-black or blue-black X deck in Canlander. It's that good. And so this being a cheap evasive card, pretty nice. The fact that it doesn't die to shocks is okay. Obviously, dying to bolts is a little bit of a tough sell, but you're hard-pressed to find some of these that, you know, are cheap and won't die to bolt. And then you make map tokens on attack, which is pretty sick. Like, generating map tokens are great. What do? They're artifacts that you can pay 1 generic, tap, sacrifice only as a sorcery to make target creature explore. So it's kind of funny that this might not do too much in a like a blue-white control shell if you until you like animate this a second time and then explore onto the land, which is actually not that bad. Stacking up counters on a creature land, as we know with Crawling Barrens, is pretty reasonable. Yeah, this is, I believe, the best of the group. Just because it's cheap. It makes tokens. Those tokens potentially draw you cards, let you sculpt your deck, and it's evasive. Like this one a lot. Restless Prairie. This is the green-white one. For 4 mana, becomes a 3/3 llama. Whenever it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, it's a llama. That's great. Oh, what up, Mishra's Bauble? How you doing? So this one, I don't think will be Canlander playable. But it is nice that it boosts... I kind of wish it boosted everything, you know? I wish it boosted itself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Makes it a little vulnerable to attack in, because it's effectively 5 mana to do so. But buffing your team is pretty strong, you know? That's pretty strong. It's fairly straightforward. I like all these. I expect them to see play in Gladiator, no matter what, because it's just a dual creature land. It's pretty great. I don't think this is making Canlander, though. Restless Reef. This is the blue-black one. 4 mana becomes a 4/4 shark with Death Touch. And when it attacks, target player mills 4 cards. This one's kind of weird. This is kind of a funny one because this feels like such a 2023 card where hey, it's Nephalia Drownyard, and it's just big thing that you don't want to block or you can't block profitably. Yeah. The milling is awkward because you rarely want to mill your opponent. And in our formats, you're rarely going to mill anybody out. So you're going to want to mill yourself, which you might be able to take advantage of it. Like I could see this showing up in like a Reanimator deck. Reanimator and Gladiator. It's not going to be played in Canlander. In Gladiator, Reanimator deck, like a 3-color Reanimator deck, might want to play it. Even though these kind of lands get they lose a little strength in 3-color decks. But yeah, 4/4 is big enough body, pressures reasonably well. Milling yourself, setting yourself up for other things is okay. Restless Ridgeline. This is the red-green. It's a Ankylosaur. 4 mana becomes a 3/4, and whenever it attacks another target attacking creature, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. You untap that creature. No for Canlander. I wholly expect to die to this card or whatever else it's buffing in, whatever else it's buffing in, on the attacks. This one's... I'm not as excited about this one because it doesn't really... Like, the strength of some of these creature lands is that you don't really need to extend an additional card, and sometimes that also means like these cards could just win the game by themselves or close out by themselves, but I don't think this card really has the ability to do that, especially when you compare it to stuff like Den of the Bugbear or Raging Ravine, even Treetop Village, right? I mean, Treetop, obviously a bit smaller, but so much cheaper. How do I feel about Raging Ravine these days? I like playing it in red-green in Canlander. Did I play it in Jund? I don't know. I think Noel still likes it in Naya Monsters. Like it still has a home in Canlander, for sure. And then Restless Vents. The red-black one for 3 mana becomes a 2/3 black and red insect with menace, and on attack, you can rummage. I like this one. Again, 3 mana, it's evasive, and it rummages. Great. Also, I like that this is... The other ones feel very, very natural, you know? Like, I mean, I guess this is like a city. But still, this one is just like, oh, wow. Would you look at that? It's the shape of the bird. Or, oh, if you look at it, if you take the picture from this angle, it's a shark. Or, oh, hey, these mountains sure look like a big old dinosaur, or getting big like Dark Souls 3 vibes. I mean, let's ignore the llama real quick. Because, who are you fucking kidding me? You drew this big goofy llama, but you know, it's goofy enough that you're just like, haha. The bug is just so funny because it's just like, oh, it's the calling card of ant. Oh, wait, no. I was trying to make a joke. I'm like, oh, it's like Spider-Man, but ants. Ant-Man. But there's an Ant-Man. It's just like create a big fire outline of an ant. Very cool. Very cool. The ball red of magic. Yeah, I think they're referenced to Nazca lines. Cool card. Good card, too. I don't know if this one's going to show up in Canlander. Maybe. Red-black. Maybe it'll show up in Canlander because red-black doesn't have a good creature land. But I could see it showing up. The discarding and drawing is pretty hot. This is one that only cares about, I guess, caves and other lands. I don't think it's very good. Volatile Fault's kind of interesting. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and you can pay 1 generic, tap, sack it to destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. That player can search their library for a basic land, put it into play, and then you make a treasure token. So this is... I'm getting like the guy that's only sacrificed Field of Ruin. I'm getting Field of Ruin vibes from this. This is like part Field of Ruin, Demolition Field, part Tectonic Edge in like the cheap activation, or Ghost Quarter might be a better comparison. Ghost Quarter being free is pretty big, but Ghost Quarter's kind of fallen off just because Death and Taxes doesn't always play even Mind Sensor or even Lunan Arbiter anymore. If you are on that version, then yeah, go nuts. You can play this. But like, we have so many of these kind of cards that you only get to play like a couple of them, unless you decide to tailor your utility lands to playing every single one of these, which is a choice that you can make. And that's just a cool way of customizing Death and Taxes. Is like, yeah, you could have these colorless utility lands, and like your spread is like Rishi Peace, Strip, Waste, Volatile Fault, Field of Ruin, Demolition Field. Like, I think Jack was playing that for a bit. I don't know. I think the Humans package and cutting Mind Sensor and stuff may have changed that, but I don't hate it. And getting a treasure token, like, obviously losing one of your lands permanently is not the greatest thing in the world. But a treasure token still at least facilitates, like, activating this and then playing a real magic card. You know, Field of Ruin and Demolition Field is usually like, blow up your thing, and then I have mana for like my 1-drop or maybe a removal spell. But this lets you like blow up your thing, and then I can immediately play my 3-drop again, you know, which is kind of neat. It's kind of neat. And then for Gladiator, I don't know, just like everybody has a shitload of basics in Gladiator. Well, that's not true. But you know, in Gladiator, it's we're more strapped for this kind of thing than obviously Canlander. So yeah, maybe the D&T decks are going to play this. Guy who only plays modern D&T. I want to really quickly talk about the lands because I can't shake something when I look at them. So there's the basic land cycle. There's Swamp, Plains, Mountain, Island, and Forest. Any questions? No. I'm getting big like Legends of Runeterra vibes. Does anybody else get that feel? Like, this is like the loading screen for Legends of Runeterra. You get, like, it's not just me, right? Like, they get, I think they look good. They look great in foil for what it's worth. I know this happened. They make the best lands they've ever made every single set. I still think the Eldraine lands, I like the Eldraine lands better if I was buying. Yeah, Journey. It does look very video gamey. I think I personally like the Eldraine lands a bit better, but the artwork is pretty gorgeous on these cards. I don't know. They're not ones that I don't know if I personally want to use them. But they do have a lot of flavor to them, you know? Yeah. They look great in foil. If you're thinking about pre-ordering some of these, like you're in love with this idea and you're like, oh, I wonder how these look in foil. They look pretty phenomenal in foil. Can I do this in a way that won't blind me? Or did I trade all of my... I think I gave away or traded my foils. Because I know Graham and Ben were really... they were voracious and looking for copies of them. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting them, don't worry, they look great. They have the Wheeler seal of approval. The Island especially. I'm a big fan of the Island and the Swamp. So that's it for the main set of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. And now we are on to the commander cards from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. We're going to talk about... Oh, I see. That's what you mean by new cards. I'm only going to talk about cards that are brand new from the Commander product. And I'm only going to be talking about them either through the context of Canadian Highlander or Commander. Probably Canlander. Bronzebeak Foragers. 3 and a white for a 3/4 Dino. When it ETBs for each opponent, exile up to one target non-land permanent that player controls until this leaves the battlefield. And then you can pay X and a white to put target card with mana value X exiled with Bronzebeak Foragers into its owner's graveyard. You gain X life. This one is very expensive. I mean, for Highlander, right? It's expensive in that it's 4 mana to just exile one thing until it leaves pay. But it hits whatever, which is kind of cool. It's easy to cast. You can't use blink shenanigans with it, and you can like tuck this away later if you have extra mana. I wouldn't recommend this for Canadian Highlander. This card seems like a slam dunk in Commander. It's Grasp of Fate. Grasp of Fate on a creature that you can then just be like, actually, you don't get this back, or you don't get this back. It's pretty hot. Cool card. Charismatic Conqueror. 1 and a white for a 2/2 Vamp Soldier with Vigilance. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield under untapped under an opponent's control, they tap that permanent. And if they don't, you make a 1/1 Vamp with lifelink. I like this in 2 spots in Canadian Highlander: Vampires and Soldiers. This is not a Death and Taxes card because it's too... I mean, it's like a Punisher card that your opponent gets to make a choice. Neither choice is great for them, but you know, if I'm killing you with Black Lotus, like loops, sure, you get 1/1s, whatever. But it's also just a 2/2. So for both those decks that are like in types that are starting to become more relevant, it's nice to have reasonable 2/2s, right? That can make more bodies. Mind you, if you're playing soldiers, you're not making soldiers, but that's fine. You'll just take this playable 2/2 that poops out more tokens in a deck that already cares about having, well, a bunch of creatures in play. Elenda's Aerophant. 2 and a white for a 1/1 flying Vamp Cleric. Whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on it, and when it dies, you make X 1/1 Vamp tokens with lifelink, where X is its power. I've wanted to experiment with a Johnny's Pridemate effects in Highlander and in what is it? Ruin Your Evening deck. And previously I've been like, I'm good. Or I've seen, or I've tried Voice of the Blessed. Or is that Voice of the Blessed? The 2-drop from one of the Innistrads. And that card was, I believe it actually showed up and did business. But I think this is more in line with what the deck's looking to accomplish, albeit it's a bit more expensive. Because 1, it's got flying, so it's able to push damage a bit easier by default. And then 2, if it does die, then you just get to make some more tokens. And then you can save it with one of your protection creatures, or you can let it die, rebuy it with your Helping Hand, your Order of White Clay, your Sabine's Reclamation, and then start all over again, which is kind of hot. It's kind of funny that... oh no, this isn't funny at all. In fact, this is incredibly serious. Yeah, and then all the tokens have lifelink. I guess what I could say is, like, this can get big. It can die in combat. Make a bunch of tokens with lifelink. Then you bring it back. And then now all these tokens, when they connect, they're going to fuel the Aerophant again. And you can just keep going and going and going. So I'm a big fan of this one. I think it's the first one that's really been like, oh shit, this does everything I want to do in this kind of deck. So it'll likely get a test run in Ruin Your Evening. And then for the, like, a Johnny's Pridemate, like the more aggressive, like green-white or Abzan Soul Sisters deck, like, yeah, I'll give it a whirl. It's also... I didn't play this in Vampires. Maybe I should have. It not having lifelink, you know, and thus not fueling itself is a little awkward for that deck, because that deck can gain life, but it not as consistently as I wanted it to. But the fact that it is a cleric does work with Cleric of Cleric of Life's Bounty, which is another Johnny's Pridemate, but specifically it has to do with clerics. So yeah, some crossover there. From the Barney Rubble. 6 mana enchantment. As it comes into play, you pick a creature type, and at the beginning of your end step, you return target creature type, return target creature of the chosen type, from the graveyard to play with a finality counter on it. Yo, this card rules. Big fan of this card. For Commander, I'm not playing this in Canlander, but this, I mean, white reanimation is some of my favorite stuff to do in, you know, Commander. And this is repeatable white reanimation. The finality counters are a bit of a pisser, but white also has a lot of flicker effects. So it gets brought back, has the finality counter on it. You just get that creature to change zones, and then you get, you know, you get it back without the counters. Yeah, that's it. Illustrious Wanderglyph. 4 and a white for a 2/2 artifact creature. It's a golem. It has Ascend. For those that don't remember what Ascend is, if you have 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing. Other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2, and as long as you have the City's Blessing. And then at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. So this is chicken tendies, but for artifacts, and that's pretty cracked. This card might actually be fine in Canadian Highlander. I know that sounds goofy, but chicken tendies did see like significant play, at least by, I mean, look, it could be a product of Pro Tour Day 2 competitor Noel Robin, loving both the food and the card. That's the name of the card. And Noel's a pretty fucking good Magic player. He can win with whatever the hell he's got in front of him, as long as there's a forest somewhere. And maybe that just, it's from a time of past or whatever, but like artifact decks can hit the City's Blessing very quickly. This is only a single pip of colored mana, which means ramping into this is like not the most unreasonable. And the fact that it gives, oh, why did I think this gave flying? I thought I gave it +2/+2 in flying. I'm still okay with this. I've seen worse cards see play. Yeah, there's a lot of leniency for this kind of proactive deck with this kind of thing as a curve topper. You're probably better off playing, you know, the other card from, what is it? The Thousand Moons Smithy. I think Thousand Moons Smithy is likely a better version of this effect, but it's interesting that there's some redundancy there. Excuse me. The 1/4 that gives flying on an attack, that's a craft card, right? That's like 1 white, craft for 3. Not a fan. Too much work. Bronze Guardian, that's the one that gives, that's Ward 2 power. Ward 2 power equal number of artifacts. Other artifacts have Ward 2 and Double Strike. That goes a little too tall for me. I think this kind of deck going wide is pretty interesting once you hit 5, because that lets you rebuild a bit quicker. So yeah, I don't know. This is the kind of card, I understand people being a little mid on this, but I don't know. This is the kind of card where I look at him like, oh yeah, I could kill people with this. Like, yeah, sure. I got Mana Vault, I got Mana Crypt, I got Soul Ring, I got a bunch of bullshit to do. And like, if you wrap my board and this is what I'm rebuilding with, like, I'm going to start making, you know, tokens over and over again. You better kill it on sight. March of the Canonized. Incredible art here from Dominic Mayer. X white for an enchantment. When it ETBs, you make X 1/1 vamps with lifelink. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if your devotion to white is 7 or greater, you make a 4/3 black vampire demon token with flying. Cool commander card. I'm going to add this right into mono white Reese the Redeemed, the deck designed to troll Shivam. Yeah, I imagine this card will see some pretty heavy play in Commander. It's like Secure the Waste that makes lifelinkers that cares about having devotion. Yeah, that's pretty cool and good. People love that kind of stuff. Redemption Choir. 2 white for a 3/3 vampire cleric with lifelink. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, if you... Oh, how have I not seen this card? Whenever it ETBs or attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you return target permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to play. Is Plachow in chat? All right, I got a DM to send. I got a DM to send. I think this card is good for Ruin Your Evening. Like, unironically. Plachow, the other Ruin Your Evening pilot of note, was playing Sun Titan in their list, of which they like at the 2 events in Tacoma, they got top 8. Both top 4. Right, I knocked them out of top 8 contention. But they came second, didn't they? Calvin, help me out. Did they come second on the first tournament? Or did they win it? Who won the Saturday event? I know this was like 6 months ago or whatever, but yeah. I think this card will see play in Ruin Your Evening because it's second on the Saturday. Okay, yeah, like 4 mana 3/3 Coven is pretty easy to hit with that deck because that deck's whole thing is developing a board of cheap utility creatures, and you have a bunch of 1s and you have a bunch of 2s, and this gives you the 3. So yeah, I think this is a totally reasonable card to play and to protect. It's a worthwhile piece to protect. Yeah, I'm fucking sold. Wow. I have to pre-order a copy of this card. Are these gonna come? I guess it'll tell me if it'll come in foil or not. What am I doing? Hello? Why is this not working? Oh, it doesn't come in foil. Okay. Well, it's probably like 5 cents, right? Redemption Choir. $1.50. Don't mind if I do. Sure, why not? Get it in widescreen. There's a cool wedding ring. Oh, they put Zatalpa in here? 1-800 flapping. Yeah, these precons are stacked. They are filled to the brim with goodies, unironically. Yeah, oh, there's always a Zatalpa. Ooh, Sam Gay. Look at this fucking art. Holy, wait a minute. Holy shit. This is some killer art. Wow. Unrelated to Rebecca Gay, but they were unrelated as far as familial ties, but they worked with, or they apprenticed with Rebecca Gay. I forget the specific relationship. I thought they used they them pronouns, brownie points. But yeah, they have some pretty incredible artwork, and this Distant Melody is incredible. Yeah, that's, use the word incredible twice, Ben. That's good. Good content. Good content. Good content. Mist Dancer. This is a 5 mana card. 5 mana, it's not an artifact. I think I'm going to be sick. Ripples of Potential. 1 and a blue for an instant, proliferate. Then choose any number of permanents you control that had counters put on them this way. Those permanents phase out. Wild. So this can protect your planeswalkers. I don't think this card is going to see any Canlander play, but this is kind of a... I imagine if you built this, if you've built around a, if you built your deck around these kind of counters, these kind of, what the fuck am I saying? Of course you'll play this commander. It has proliferate on it. It has proliferate on it. Sam Gay rated my stream once, at the time was using she, her pronouns. Oh, well, thank you, Angel. Also, sick flex. How come Sam Gay's never rated this stream? This high quality stream. Stormfleet Negotiator. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 flying siren pirate with parlay. Whenever Stormfleet Negotiator attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a map token. Then each player draws a card. No, I'm good. Cool for Commander. The Indomitable. 2 blue for a 6/6 legendary artifact vehicle with trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And crew 3. You may cast the Indomitable from your graveyard as long as you control 3 or more tapped pirates and or vehicles. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is a sick card for a Rule 0 commander. And it's not that bad. Like, it is a... no, not conspiracy. It's coastal piracy, right? It's a coastal piracy, a reconnaissance mission. It's a 4-mana Abidant of Thassa, you know? That's pretty cool because it's... Don't get tripped up by this. It just says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player. He says don't get tripped up by it and then proceeds to get tongue-tied. So yeah, that's just a sick static ability to have. Cool. Not good enough for Highlander or whatnot, but very neat. Oh my god. Can you imagine how chubbed up the person that made this card must be? That titled this card? Wave goodbye? Oh, brother, this stinks! Like, oh my god. 2 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Return each creature without a 1/1 counter on it to its owner's hand. Wow, and it's busted. This card is messed up. This is like in a commander deck, this is just like a chubbed up and the art by Sam Hogg. Okay, alright. Settle down, everybody. Settle down. Yeah, in a commander game, if you're playing a deck with counters, and nobody else is, cool. Nice Cyclonic Rift. Do I care about this card? There's a Black Market Connections reprint, which is pretty cool. I'm not reading all that. It's too much shit. I'm not reading that. Ooh. This card, however. Dusk Legion Sergeant. 1 and a black for a 2/2 vampire soldier with menace, and you can pay 1 and a black to sacrifice it, and each non-token vampire you control gains persist until end of turn. My one critique of this card, and I played this in Vamps, and I think if you play vampires in Canlander, you should probably play this card because it's a 2-drop with an it's a 2-mana 2/2, which is already pretty great, with an evasive ability. Again, helps you push your damage. And then there's an additional utility ability that may or may not pop up. And when it does, you might be pretty happy. Great. That's it. I will say, looking at... not to blow up your spot, Angel, but I want to look at your Vamps deck. Because my issue with this is that there are a shockingly large amount of vampires that are just X1s. And so if you're not bringing back a Lord with this, it's not actually saving as many things as you would hope. Like, at a glance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 out of 34 creatures are just not coming back with this, which I'm not saying that as like a don't play this card, because this thing gets dumpstered. But that was something that when I played that deck, I was like, oh, I could sacrifice this and it doesn't save 2 of my creatures, which is kind of fun. Kind of fun. That's it. Ooh, the bird. Francisco, Foul Marauder. 1 and a black for a 0/1 bird pirate with flying, and Francisco can't block. Whenever 1 or more pirates you control deal damage. This is important. Whenever they deal you can't see me gesticulate. Well, you kind of can. Deal damage. Not combat damage. Damage. Whenever they deal damage, Francisco explores. And it has partner. So there's some goofy combos you can set up with this, and like Agatha's Soul Cauldron, where you have it ping something, and then you get to explore, and if you hit a non-land, you just keep it on there, and you put a 1/1 counter on it, and you can just combo off with this, and yeah, you get to do a pirate machine gun. Or you could just play this as a partnered commander, because it's a 2-mana monocolored commander with partner, which is cool and good. I've talked about, did I talk about partner in the, did I talk about partner in the Doctor Who Tap Concede? I didn't do a Doctor Who set review, which, spoiler alert, the set's pretty bad. But that's okay. It's a commander set. It's cool and good for commander. There's like 2 cards for Canlander. But partner is a mechanic that is like wildly misunderstood, because partner as a mechanic is actually really cool, and I'm a big fan of it. Partner, when it's on monocolored creatures. Partner as a mechanic when it's on creatures with more than 1 color is shit. Especially when they're like reasonable Magic cards, right? There are like, you know, once you get to your Thrasios or your Timna or your what is it? Cybrin, you know, whatever. Like it gets bad. Crom, yeah, Vile Smasher, like that's no. that starts to get to a level where you're like, oh, this was a mistake. But monocolored partner is fine, and I'm really excited to see them use it sparingly but appropriately. When you get cards like, yeah, this is a bird. This is the pirate's parrot on its shoulder, or Yoshimaru, right? It's so perfect, right? I like that they haven't just completely abandoned partner. That, I mean, I trust R&D to have the capabilities. Their card evaluation and card design capabilities are a lot higher than your average individual. Certainly your average Magic player on Twitter or in Twitch chat or Twitch streamer. But they have the ability to be like, hey, partner actually rocks as long as we don't give people 2 commanders, 4 colors, and those commanders are all card advantage all the way down, you know? So I like this bird. Are you Lethal Scheme? Oh, no. This is the Capenna card. Master of Dark Rites, Igor killing it with this artwork. Although this is like such a like fan favorite artwork. This is the kind of thing that would show up on a slide on like a Ristic Studies video, and you're just like, oh fuck, this game's beautiful. 1 mana, 1/1 Vamp Cleric. Tap, sack another creature, add 3 black. Spend this mana only to cast vampires, clerics, and or demon spells. I saw somebody on Twitter say like, this card should just be a 1 mana 1/1 that taps, sacks another creature, and adds 3 black. Like, they are like, you shouldn't have the restriction. You don't need the restriction. This should just be a 1 mana 1/1 that gets to Dark Ritual like every turn in Commander or whatever. And would that end up being the most broken thing in the world? You know, probably not. But is that, yeah, it's kind of like an Orcish Lumberjack, right? But there's a big difference between creatures and sacking lands. And it's also just like, it was such a revealing statement about, well, I guess we talked about card evaluation, because like, this card is great. If you're a deck that cares about these 3 creature types, yeah, play this. Sack some tokens. Pump out some big idiots. Cool. Get explosive. Have fun with it. But like, it's just so funny. The first thing I see is like, this card should just Dark Ritual every turn. It's like, yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't be as busted as some other cards we've received over the past couple of years, but, you know, slow down. Enjoy the thematic, right? Enjoy the themes of Magic cards as well. It will, even on a competitive level, it'll make the game more enjoyable. I promise you. Ooh, that looks good. And it's a shame that we can't get this in foil, huh? They're reprinting Pitiless Plunderer. Cool and good. There are people talking about this card in the Discord being like, it's, you know, I'm not one to break NDAs, but there were people talking about this card in the Discord being like, oh God, why can't they just print this normally? And it's like,
another one.
Just fucking wait. Please, just give it like a couple of days. Yeah, it's a special guest card. I think it's on the list now too, or maybe it was already on the list. Mysticaf, holy smokes, gifting a sub to the community, going to Methodical Monk. It's extremely generous of you. Thank you so much for the support. And welcome, Methodical Monk. Promise of Akhlazotz, 1 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, populate. And then Foul Rebirth. For 2 and a black as a sorcery with adventure, sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon token with flying. Fun. This card is just like kind of a non-bow with the commander, which is kind of funny. It's I don't think this card is Canlander playable. It is very cool and like certainly will be a popular card for commander. But it is I like the fact that this does not synergize like with the commander of this deck is kind of hilarious to me. That's it. Pitiless Plunderer should not be $14. I have an incredibly unpopular take about that. I mean, I really don't think, I think in a perfect world, these cards aren't worth like more money than the paper spent to print them, but that's not a world that we're going to live in. And, unfortunately. And so I'm actually okay with fewer people being able to play this card because only for the sake, like $14 is at like a level where it's like, look, if you really want to get this card, you can pick up this card, right? Like it's not a $100 card. It's not, I'm not saying that $14 or $10 or whatever is going to be an amount that everybody can afford, right? Like to some people that might be a lot to spend on a Magic card, and I'm not trying to belittle that that experience or what they are going through, but like fuck this card. Like it is so, why is it another creature you control dies and not non-token? Like why is it a single black pip? It's just, this card is so unreal that it exists in a, I mean, it came before Treasure got to where it is, before Commander was as popular as it is now. You know, it's from a different time, but like, yeah, I'm okay with this card not being everywhere, right? I'm okay with that. Again, massive asterisk, because if I could burn all of my power 9 and in doing so would make every card like dirt cheap, of course I do it in a fucking heartbeat. Do I think any individual Magic card should be like worth more than like 15 bucks, 20 bucks? No. Right? Like, God, no. But that's not going to happen, unfortunately. And so where, while they don't directly admit it, there is something to like using reprint equity as a way of balancing certain cards appearing in a casual format like Commander, you know? Not really a risk though, because I'd get all my power 9 back at an incredibly cheap price. You know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, hey, don't blow up my spot. Skeleton Crew. This is what I'm here for. The what is it? Wave Goodbye or Goodbye Wave? What's that circle jerky name called again? Wave Goodbye. Yeah. That I'm a little like, but Skeleton Crew, like, yeah, that's a cool, like, oh, hey, that's a term that gets used, and it's also a card that, like, it's a real world term. It's a term that makes sense because it's a skeleton pirate that mans this, you know, this ghost ship or whatever. And it's also a single card that can basically, it's a single card that just like keeps coming back and that just takes over the game by itself, or takes over the game. It's a single card that can, like, you know, get the job done. This is such a perfect, like, mwah, you know, love it. This is so well done. 4 mana 3/3 skeleton pirate. Each other creature you control that's a skeleton or a pirate gets +1/+1. And whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 skeleton pirate token. And then pay 5 and a black. Return it from your graveyard to play tapped. Friendship with Tormod is over. Now Skeleton Crew is my best friend. Or you just play both of them. I could never hate Tormod. Yeah, really, really cool card for Commander. I think it's, get this, too weak for Highlander, but a very cool card in Commander. Well, I seem to have fucked myself. Where's my cursor? Oh, there it is. I've only done it once today, right? Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Card. I only did it once today. That's not that bad. Oh, shit. Shit. Wait, no. Why is there a VLC cone that says Sonic Raid? Because that's the, oh, say, can you see? It's that one. You know, the Canadian national anthem. What's with all the Sonic inflation porn? I didn't even have my Gwentai folder up. You can Control-Shift-T to bring up the last tab you closed out, even if it's the last window. Like, even if Chrome is completely... First off, I should probably switch off Chrome. But even if it's... Wow. Wow, I'm learning so much. Very cool. Thank you, Jellyfish. You've saved my life. Proceeds to just do it again. Incognito doesn't allow it? Well, the Grim Captain's Locker. 3 and a black for a legendary artifact. Tap to surveil 1, and then tap until end of turn. Each creature card in your graveyard gains escape for 3 and a black, and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. Really cool card. Big fan of this card. That's it. There's not much to say. It's it fills your graveyard. Oh, you were telling me this yesterday? Yeah, I don't read chat. Really cool card, fills your graveyard. I like the templating on the second ability as well, because it plays around getting mucked by artifacts, or sorry, graveyard removal. Yeah, cool card. I just did? No, I didn't. It's a shame Mink died when he climbed up that tree, because we got a pretty cool and good goblin here. I think we missed this on the North 100 set review, so I'm going to try to redeem myself here. Broadside Bombardiers. Or no, Bombardiers? Bombardiers. Why can't I say this word? It is true, I always ignore chat. Broadside Bombardiers. 2 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Pirate with Menace and Haste and Boast. You sacrifice another creature or artifact. It deals 2 damage. It deals damage equal to 2 plus the sacrifice permanent's mana value to any target. For those that don't remember what Boast is, after this card is attacked, you can activate this ability, but only once. So 3 mana, 2/2 Menace, Haste. That's fine. It's whatever. It's a goblin, so that's pretty cool. And then sacking a creature or artifact and just doming any target. The fact that you can attack before blocks kill something, or just, you know, they block in such a way and you sack the thing that got blocked, that's pretty hot. I think this card's pretty fucking scary. I foresee this card showing up in goblins, maybe even showing up in some of the like ancient 2 mana decks. But yeah, this is a pretty sick goblin. Like, this card will see Canadian Highlander play, and it'll kill people. It'll kill people dead. As soon as the North 100 set review comes out, where we should have talked about this, I'm going to be one of the first comments being like, we missed this card. It's good. Play it. And there'll still be like 5 people being like, I can't believe they missed Broadside Bombardiers. Do you know how many fucking cards we have to look at? So many of them. Gem Cutter Buccaneer. This art rules. I love like ragged faces that are just covered in a bunch of accoutrement. 3 and a red. It's a 1/3 Orc Pirate Artificer. Whenever it or another pirate ETB is under your control, you make a tapped treasure. And treasures you control are equipment in addition to their other types. And have equip creature gets +2/+0, equip pirate 1, or equip for anything 3. This card was very strong in the I played the pirate commander deck a couple of times. Wink. Yeah, this card was pretty good in the commander deck. I imagine if you are a pirate deck, you are going to want this card. Yeah, it's pretty good. The second ability is kind of just like the icing on the cake. Just making a bunch of treasure off of your pirates coming into play is a-okay by me. What is this one again? I mean, this is kind of cool. I don't think it's good. Orwich Stalactite. Did we have a Stalagmite? No, it was Stalactite Stalker, right? Is there a Stalagmite in the set? Somebody in chat. There's Stalagmite be. Oh, I got your ass, Wilco. I got your ass. One, I fucking knew it. 1 in a red. It's an artifact. Tap to add a red. Spend this mana only to cat. There's a card called Lurking Roper. Oh, oh, grow up. Oh, come on. Grow up. Wait. What are you doing? Why is my chat and my Discord so horny? What's the deal? Oh, it looks like a stalagmite. Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Oh, never mind. Never mind. We're out. 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 No, we're out. We're out. We're out. We're out. We're done. We're done. Am I asking that? I don't know. I mean, I think I know the answer. New rule. Before watching my streams, everybody has to, or they find someone. It's just that easy. We need to slow things down. Wrathful Raptors. 4 and a red for a 5/5 Dino with Trample. And whenever a dinosaur you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dinosaur. This card's pretty good. You know, as far as stuffy dolls go. It's just Wrathful Dragon, but it's a dinosaur. That's it. More redundancy for my Ben Benaki Hermit deck. Although you get some pretty happy dinos. I do like... This is literally... Why is this dino... What is this? There's like some meme that looks like this. It's not like Soy Jack. It's... Yeah, it's the snake. That's what it is. It's the PogChamp snake. It's the PogChamp snake. That's what it is. Great. PogChamp snake. More ways to accidentally kill myself with Volcano Hellion. I've always been looking for more of those. Add it as an emote. Do we already have a Pog? Don't we have like multiple Pogs? We have so many Pog adjacent emotes. Look at these. I would argue that all of these are Pog or Pog adjacent. We got so many. Do we really need another one? Bygone Marvels. 2 green for a sorcery with Descend 8. Fuck, they sure like putting Descend 8 on 2-mana sorceries. When you cast this... When you cast a spell, 8 things in your yard, you can copy this twice. Holy shit. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, exile it. Oh, it's permanent again. I don't know. No, I'm good. I'm good. Contest of Claws. This is just another fight card. It's 2 mana. Excess damage. You discover X. Well, that's kind of interesting. Contest of Claws. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. And if excess damage is dealt this way, discover X, where X is the excess damage. Huh. X can't be 0 because... By definition, if there's no excess damage would be 1 or greater, right? I think this card could see play in mono green, like mono green beatdown. Because like your things are already bigger than all your opponent's stuff. And just getting some additional value off your fight spell is pretty hot. Yeah, I could see this. It only hits another creature, so you can't hit a planeswalker with it, which is a bit of an oofa-doofa. But I could see myself trying this out if I build mono green aggro. This year, yeah, I could see myself playing this. Curious Altasaur. Oh, I get it, because it's a curiosity. Wow. 3 and a green for a 2/5 dinosaur with vigilance and reach. Whenever a dinosaur you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Cool dinosaur that draws cards and has a big booty. Cool. That's it. I like the long neck. It's pretty. I think this is a pretty cute card. Like we're just like, oh, what's going on over there? Huh? What's going on over there? Deep Root Historian. 3 and a green for a Merfolk Druid. It's a 3/3. Merfolk and Druid cards in your graveyard have Retrace. Retrace is you can cast these cards from your graveyard by discarding a land in addition to paying the other costs. So I wouldn't play this in Merfolk because it's just a 4-mana 3/3 without an ETB that needs you to keep lands in your hand, and that's a deck with activated abilities and equipment, and you're probably playing these lands anyways. But if you are so inclined to play Druids, then sure, why not? Is Druids still a thing? Druids was, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, or the bearer of bad archetypes in this format. Well, I guess I'm not the bearer of bad archetypes because I'm not the one that was playing Druids. Druids was never a thing. Like, if we're talking, like, you could build a Druids, sure, it's a memes deck. It's a memes deck. If you wanted to meme with Druids, then go off. You can do it. But if we're talking about a serious evaluation of this card, no. I mean, if you played it in your Druid deck, it'll probably be one of the better cards you can play because, you know, it's a Druid, right? It's a Druid from 2023, so it's probably better than, well, some of the other Druids that have been printed. So that's good Explorer art. Dinosaur Egg. 1 and a green for a 0/3 Dinosaur Egg. Oh my god, yes! I love when you have a card that is name and creature type. Lizard Man, Lizard Man, Lizard Man. Name, species, and occupation. 1 and a green for an 0/3 with Evolve. When Dinosaur Egg dies, you may discover X, where X is its toughness. That's cute. It's not playable, but it's cute. It's also an egg. I like that they're they're like painting on the egg too. You know? It's like it's Easter. Because when this dies, oh, wait a minute. This is an egg that they're painting on. Not unlike Easter eggs. And when this dies, you discover 3. Hey, honey, how many days did Jesus lay dead in his tomb before he arose yet again? Kiefer says 420. I don't know if that's true. Okay, great. Thank you, honey. Yeah, this Explorer art rules. That's interesting. Just one more thing. Cool art. I like it when they give new like thematic art to cards like this. I think these are the cards where you want it, right? Like, how many? I mean, I say that, and then there's old school Rampant Growth, old school Kodama's Reach, but there's a new Farseek. Like, yeah, look at this. This art looks great. Oh yeah, she's just pan fluting it up. Love some pan flute. This card has big, like... This card has big, old school artwork energy. I don't know how to describe it, but like from far away, it kind of looks like almost like it's blurry, you know? And then you look at it a higher resolution, you're like, oh no, there's just so much movement is expressed just by their like fur or feathers, kind of, you know, just lightly billowing. It's good shit. It's good shit. I just went through the effort of remembering my Twitch password to type here. Smiley face. Well, thank you. Thank you so, you know, and round of applause for you. Just good, just hell yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you. 5-mana 5/5 Dinosaur with Myriad, and when it deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment they control. Oh, this card's gonna fucking kill me. This card's gonna kill me. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah, this card rules for commander. This card rocks for commander. Very cool card. Like, you can play this outside of a dinosaur deck. This is just, like, pretty strong. This card's kind of cute. Sunfrill Imitator. 2 and a green for a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, you can have it become a copy of another target dinosaur you control, except its name is Sunfrill Imitator and has this ability. Yeah, it's I just like the way it looks. I mean, I don't really play dinosaurs. If it wasn't evident from me not knowing that the Gisath was a reprint, that's very cool. Very cool artwork. And it can copy legends, yeah. Which, for this, I'm okay. Like, thematically, I'm okay that this can copy legends, and because the way that it gets around it is that it becomes a copy of this, including its, the legendary typing. But it still has its name. But I'm okay with, like, an animal like that. It's weird. I'm weirdly okay with an animal doing that. That is, like, again, showing off plumage. It's imitating something. I'm cool with. But all these clone effects, I've had enough. Topography Tracker. 2 and a green for a 2/2 Merfolk Scout. When it ETBs, you make a map token, and if a creature you control would explore, instead it explores, then it explores again. Explores. Explore, 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 explore. So instead of a creature exploring once, it explores twice. Cool. I mean, it's not good enough, but it's cool. This artwork throws me off because what's the League of Legends champion? Seth? Set? Is it Set? The, like, shirtless punching guy? Is that its name? The furry that's shirtless and punches. Yeah. This feels like Set. I don't know why, but when I look at it, the art scaled back like this, it looks like him, right? Like I know that it's a merfolk, but you get that vibe? Like, I'm not losing it, right? You don't see it? Maybe it's just because it's smaller. It's the pose. It's the pose and I think some of the bare chest and the color, yeah. That's a good pog. That's a pretty good pog. This is the ladies' pog. They're like, oh. Yeah. That's a good pog. 3 and a green for a 4/4 Merfolk Shaman, tributary instructor. It has Mentor. So whenever it attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on a target attacking creature with lesser power. And then whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, you draw a card. I don't think that this is good enough for the counters decks in Canlander because, well, you don't want your things dying, and it doesn't really. It's just a block of stats without any evasion or anything. And at this point, everything else is going to be smaller. Don't think you want this in Merfolk because, again, the Merfolk decks aren't using too many. It has a bunch of things with counters, but not a huge amount of them. But yeah. If you have both, this is a commander card. It's a great. Moving on. Ooh. Admiral Brass Unsinkable. I wouldn't sink of it. 2 blue, black, and a red for a 3/3 human pirate legend. When it ETBs, you mill 4 cards. In the beginning of combat on your turn, you can return a pirate card from your graveyard to play with a finality counter on it as base power toughness 4/4. So, I'm not going to spoil any of the Commander gameplay that I filmed with the Spike Feeders involving these precons. Let me tell you this. These precons are juiced to the brim. They are so good. But I don't know if that's a good, like, they're a little snowbally, you know? They come off a little snowbally to me, where it's just like she pops in and then just you get back your Angrass Marauders, or you get back like Direfleet Ravager or whatever, and you're just like, oh shit. Great, so the game's over immediately. Which is kind of wild. Really cool card though. Really cool card. How do they compare to the ridiculousness of Doctor Who? Well, the Doctor Who decks, I think, were complicated to a fault. Like, they were... I felt like the Doctor Who decks were doing too much to service the audience, right? Like, the Warhammer decks, from what I heard, they did a good job of, like, relaying the canon and the vibe of the cards and the game and all that, but like they were still pretty straightforward. But I found the Doctor Who decks to be like just kind of like, I was looking at these and I'm imagining like if somebody that liked Doctor Who but barely like had a very fleeting grasp of Magic, or like didn't play Magic, and they're like, oh, I've always wanted to start, I would not tell them to start with those decks. They were fucked. Just so many neat, like, triggered abilities, upkeep, things that you need to remember, replacement effects, weird rules interactions. Like, they were wild. They were out of order sagas. Yeah. Too much. They were doing too much. These feel great though. Like they're a little snowbally, but they feel pretty strong. And to their credit, they feel really like all the cards jive really well. Like you never have a spot where you're like, oh, I didn't hit a pirate, or I hit this card, like I milled a creature, but it's not a pirate, or, I don't have a vehicle when I want a vehicle, or a way to find a vehicle. It felt very good. These decks felt very good to play. I will say that. Thanks for the fun time. I'm going to log out of my Twitch account again now. And that's incredible. I mean, round of applause. Showing the strength to leave before they know it's too late. Carmen, Cruel Sky Marcher. 3 white and a black for a 2/2 legendary vampire soldier with flying. Whenever a player sacks a permanent, you put a 1/1 counter on Carmen and gain a life. Whenever Carmen attacks, return up to one target permanent card with mana value less than or equal to Carmen's power from your graveyard to play. Too expensive, but really cool. Next. Clavileño, First of the Blessed. 1 white and a black for a 2/2 vampire. Oh yeah, it's this fucker. Okay, so this is the... Is she 17? Yeah, I think it's usually... It's safe to assume that everybody is 16 or 17. Especially this guy with the big fucking beard, or the big I'm an evil guy mustache and goatee. That's the word I'm looking for. Although he kind of has a chin strap. Anyways, 3 mana 2/2 vamp cleric. Whenever you attack, target attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon in addition to its other types. And it gains when this creature dies, draw a card and make a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire token. So this is the weird one that with the black enchantment with adventure. Where is it? This one. Because it makes them demons permanently. It's not until end of turn. And so this says, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature if you do populate. I recall this being a very awkward anti-synergy where you get your commander out, you start doing your commander's things, then you draw that card and you're like, oh. This isn't really doing anything. Cool. Not playable for Canlander, but I just wanted to make that comment. Don Andres the Renegade. Get off my computer screen. 1 blue, black, and a red for a 4/3 vamp pirate. It's a legend. Each creature you control but don't own gets +2/+2 as menace, death touch as a pirate in addition to its other types. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell you don't own, you create 2 tap treasure tokens. So this is like a Grixis, I get to cast your spells or steal your stuff. I am not a fan of this kind of thing. I don't... People really like this. People love this kind of card. They like the... There must be like a huge audience for it, is I guess what I should say. I shouldn't just say they like it. There's obviously an audience for this kind of card because they keep making these kind of cards. But I hate this kind of stuff where it's just like, let me play with my deck. My cards are better in my deck anyways. You know? Yeah, this is not my jam. Not my jam. This one is at least a better application of that because you can build around this in a couple of different ways. This isn't the like, I'm gonna play your stuff and I'm gonna sack all your shit. Haha, take that. But like, if you play this as like Grixis threaten plus reanimation that hits anybody's graveyard, that's kind of cool, right? Like that, I'm going to steal your, I'm going to recruit your creature and it is now a pirate. And then it gets to... Huh? Kiefer said, ooh, Mr. Steal your creature. You mean, oh, whoa. It's Mr. Anyways. Just wanted to get that out there. Thanks, honey. Hawkball of the Surging Soul. 2 green and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature, Merfolk Scout. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each Merfolk you control explores. Whenever Hawkball attacks, you can put a land from your hand into play. If you don't, draw a card. Holy shit, this magic card. Yeah, I'm going to play this card in Canadian Highlander. This thing gets out of hand so fast. Each Merfolk? Oh, yeah, if this is your curve topper, yikes. God forbid you actually get to attack with it. It's a hell of a top end card. Oh yeah, Surge not properly playing the card. Classic Surge Jaeger not reading the card. Right? But then it not even mattering. Like it was a brand new card. Surge read out this card and like, okay, yeah, that sounds fucked up. Great. And he was just like, the way he was playing it was like, wow, this card's so good. And it turns out he should have been drawing additional cards. And it was still just destroying everyone at the table. It is, it's wild. Why does it draw cards when it already explores? 2 reasons. 1, it's Simic. And 2, because what if you explore and you don't get to put the card in your hand? Oh no. Oh, what if you had to make a choice? Oh, don't make me make a choice. I'm a Simic commander player. I don't know how to do anything. Please spoon feed me. Like, it's just like, that's why. Because it's just, fuck, man. I'm going to die to this thing. Well, that might not be true. I'm the only dedicated merfolk pilot. Unless Jonah makes an appearance again with merfolk. I'm going to be the one trying to kill people with this card. So, you know. Order of the Sacred Dusk. 8 mana and black and a white for a 5/5 Vampire Knight with Convoke. Flying, lifelink, haste, exalted. Other vamps you control have exalted. This card rules. I don't know how good it is, but this card rips. It is so cool. I love this kind of design. It's just like, yeah. It's aspirational. It it's aspirational. It's big with a bunch of different words on it, and it calls back to Sublime Archangel, a fan favorite Magic card already. It's great. Love it. Yeah, everybody get in the car. Huh? Did I open the door or something? I left the door open. Let me hold on. Mulder is screaming down the stairs. Potlaza, Sun Favored. 2 red, green, and a white for a 4/4 Dino. Whenever Potlaza or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may discover X, where X is that creature's toughness. Do this only once each turn. Yeah, this card is pretty good. Turns out. It's pretty good. What if your dinosaur deck got to cast free dinosaurs or ramp spells? That's it. Pretty cool card. It's the face commander for the dinosaur deck too. So, whoa, there's a new Ramirez. Oh yeah, this magic card, Singer of Swift Rivers. 1 green and a blue for a 3/2 Merfolk Shaman with Flash. When it ETBs, put a shield counter on another target creature you control. And then you may cast Merfolk spells as though they had Flash. Yeah, this rips. I love the identity of... I love the fact that Merfolk has been... We got 2 new Flash creatures in this set. The Tashana's Tidebinder and this one, which is convenient because we get to... for Highlander Merfolk, we get to trim the few non-Merfolk cards that you have, which is stuff like Vendilion Clique or Brazen Borrower, and replace them with other 3-drops that still have Flash, that have added utility, that happen to be Merfolk. This card rips. It is nobody, and the best part is nobody's gonna fucking know it. If you've ever wanted to play Merfolk at like a Merfolk and Canlander against at your local event or against your play group, now's the time to play this because nobody's going to think about playing around it. Which is kind of hot. Catch you later, Mista Calf. Have a good one. Yeah, the singer is pretty strong. Ooh. This card is so goofy. Tetsin Gnome Champion. Blue, red, and a white for a 2/2 legendary artifact creature Gnome. Whenever Tetsin or another double-faced artifact enters the battlefield under your control, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact card from among them into your hand. And then 4 generic, craft with 6 artifacts to become the Golden Gear Colossus. Legendary artifact creature Gnome, Vigilance Trample. Whenever the GGC enters the battlefield or attacks, you transform up to 1 other double-faced artifact you control. And then you make 2 1/1 gnome tokens. This card rules. And let me tell you, I feel like I'm an old man complaining about Twitter a lot. But like, I saw someone complain about this card. And when I'm saying I saw someone, I'm not just talking about random people. Like, I'm not just trying to pick on people with like 50 followers or whatever. I'm talking about people that either are... creators or influencers themselves, or they are they have some presence in the community one way or the others, at least on Twitter, you know. Still, some of them might be punching down that I'm mentioning, but you know what? Fuck it. They saw this card and they were like, why does it have to be like themed around double-faced cards? Why can't this just be a Jeskai artifact commander? And like, why is it double-faced artifacts? Because that's the theme of the set. Fuck. Wait, really? Oh. Oh shit, it's getting late. It's it's getting late. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna keep a backup window just in case. There's gonna be a backup. No, it didn't work. I tried. I swear to God, I tried. I've got a backup just in case. Chrome agrees with you? No! Have some fun in your life. It's a commander. Why would you want a generic Jeskai artifact commander when instead you could get a cool build around? I don't know. I think it's like, why? What are you doing complaining? It already ETBs, fuels craft, and draws you a card. And then when you get to craft, you get a big ass golem that poops out more tokens and does the crafting and transforming for you. This is great. This is so sick. Even if you don't want to take advantage of the double-faced aspect of this card, this is still a 3-mana 2/2 that ETBs, sets up your welders, your artifact reanimation, your Emery, all that kind of stuff, and then gets to and gets to like draw a card, and then just turns into a big idiot that can kill people with commander damage. Poops? Yeah, poops out gnomes. Your giant golem poops out gnomes and draws you cards and sets up the other cards. And that's if you're going for a generic Jeskai artifact deck because you didn't want to build Brea or something. I don't know. I think this card's extremely cool. It's extremely thematic and lets you play with cards you wouldn't normally play with. You know? Not a golem, actually? The fuck you say? The fuck you say? I meant golem in the traditional Hebrew sense of the word, where it is a man or a monster created of the construction of clay and fuck. Weta Trainer Prodigy. Red, green, and a white for a 1/5 legendary human warrior that has haste. 2 and a green, tap. Target creature you control fights another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if it targets 2 creatures you control. And then if a creature you control being dealt damage causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So you get to build, this is cool for like Naya and Rage. This is cool for Naya, like, I want my creatures to die, or Naya Stuffy Doll. Great. This is so, love it. Love it to bits. Very cool commander. Very cool build around, powerful ability. Even if you're not, like the floor of this is that you just have a Naya commander that can tap to make things fight. That's pretty good. That's already just good. Your creatures are likely bigger than your opponents. Have at it. Very cool card. Very cool commander to build around. Speaking of cool commanders to build around, Xavier Saul Infested Captain. Black, green, and a blue for a 3/3 legendary human fungus pirate. Tap it, remove a counter from another permanent you control, populate. Activate only as a sorcery. Tap, sack another creature, proliferate. Activate only as a sorcery. I mean, come on, this is beautiful. You can use this as your Saproling / fungus commander. You can do stuff with sagas. You can do stuff with planeswalkers. Like, there's just so much cool shit that you can use with this commander. It's, you know, it's great. Big fan of this card. Again, it's a cool build around. Populate? You like the way I say populate? Should I, do I say populate different from how your average person should? I mean, I'm not trying to sound defensive. I'm just curious. Populate. Yeah. Tap, remove a counter from another permanent you control. Populate. Activate only as a sorcery. Really like Populate. Populate is, you know, we saw Populate on cards from Return to Ravnica. Populate. Sholatoyak, the Smiling Flood. 4 green and a blue for a 6/6 legendary Salamander Serpent. Whenever Sholatoyak enters the battlefield or attacks, you put a flood counter on target land. That land is an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on it. And at the beginning of your end step, untap each permanent you control with a counter on it. Now, it's a very large friend. I've seen the edit. So before anybody says anything, I've seen the edit. We're good. We don't need to. No, Wilco, we're good. I'm good. Yeah, flood counters have always done that, Dr. Frankenstein. Aquatex will? What edit? Oh, okay. Well, now I'll show people. Does anybody have the edit handy so that I can show everyone? Yeah. Since 2007, flood counters have always made cards islands in addition to their land types. Show me the edit. Thank you, Wizak. Here's the edit. Hey, this is look, I'm only doing this because so many people asked. All right. You don't get it, Pip. You're good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's people being horny on the internet. 2 people asked? No. No way. What edit? What edit? Show me the edit. I'd like to see the edit. What does that mean? You regret it? Good. Glad of it. Regret is a dish best served cold. Fuck, we still have artifacts? I am tired. Okay. Arm-mounted anchor. 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has menace. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw 2 cards, and then you discard 2 cards, unless you discard a pirate card. And then equip 2. This ability costs 2 less to activate if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. Cool. If your pirate deck is looking to mill, then play this card. The end. Oh, there's a Chalice of the Void. Cool. Eye of Ohertok. 3 mana for an artifact that taps, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And then you can craft it with 2 cards that share a type and for 6 generic. And it turns into Apex Observatory, an artifact that says Apex Observatory enters the battlefield tapped, and as it enters, you choose a card type shared among 2 exiled cards used to craft it. Then you can tap it and have the next spell you cast this turn of the chosen type be cast without paying its mana cost. So, where am I? So you craft this and say you craft an artifact and an artifact creature. Then you get this. You choose a card type among the cards shared. You choose a card type among the cards exiled that is shared among them. So if you exile an artifact and an artifact creature, you can only pick an artifact. You can't pick creature. Get it? And then it just lets you cast free stuff. It's a manolith that lets you really pop off. And I think that's kind of cool. That's it. More manoliths. I'm really glad that they've been pushing 3-mana ramp artifacts that do cool shit, because they're so much more enjoyable to play than the like 2-mana ones in Commander. You can cast your Blightsteel for free. That is a cool Mind Stone. Holy smokes. Very cool Mind Stone. Very cool. Paleontologists. Oh, there's a backside to this. Paleontologist's Pickaxe. 2 mana for an artifact equipment. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, you draw a card, then discard a card. And you can equip for 1 and craft with 1 or more creatures and 5 generic mana. And it turns into Dinosaur Headdress. When it enters the battlefield, you attach it to target creature you control. As Dinosaur Headdress becomes attached to a creature, choose an exiled creature card used to craft Dinosaur Headdress. An equipped creature is a copy of the last chosen card. Fuck, that's a lot of words for a card that I don't think I want to play. Like, this is just a lot. I guess, like a cheap equipment that gets to loot. It's not something I'm super keen on playing in an equipment-based deck, but like if you're a deck with a bunch of big creatures like reanimation style, maybe it's okay because it can do that. It can act as like a pseudo reanimator card. I'm not super enthused, but it's pretty cool. At least it's neat. Oh, I'm not talking Canlander. This is all Commander. I'll let you know when we come across a Canlander playable. Progenitor's Icon. 3-mana artifact. As it comes into play, choose a creature type. Tap to add 1 mana of any color, and tap the next spell. The chosen type you cast this turn can be cast as though it had flash. This is what I'm talking about. Very cool 3-mana mana rock. Obviously, this is something that you would prefer to play in a 5-color or a 3-color plus creature kind of themed deck. But yeah, this is just like if you're playing this in slivers, great. Flash slivers sounds fucking gross, right? Sounds pretty gross. Flash anything is pretty gross. Lets you play around the board wipes, lets you keep protection, plays around like, they make these blocks and then you have a lord and then all of a sudden their blocks are terrible. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Is there a land? I think there's 1 new land. Is there a new land? I thought there was 1 new land and every deck had a copy. Maybe I'm making this up. Oh, you know what? It must be from the main set and it is in the Commander decks. And I just don't know that because there are cards from the main set in the Commander decks. Maybe it was the volatile field or something. Promising Vein. Are there any special guests I need to care about? These are all reprints, right? They're all reprints. Why is Underworld Breach here? Yeah, these don't matter. We're done? God, no. We still have to talk about the Jurassic Park cards. or Jurassic World. Don't move. 3 white, a sorcery. Destroy all tapped creatures until your next turn. Whenever a creature becomes tapped, destroy it. Cool. I don't think this is exactly what I'm hoping to play as far as Wraths go. But, you know. Again, much like 3-mana mana rocks, it's like if you are going to like play a Wrath effect, I like playing 1 straightforward Wrath effect and then one that's a little more thematic for your deck. Sometimes 2 more that are thematic for your deck. It depends on the group and all that stuff. But yeah, it's sure, if this is what you want, you can play it. I think this one's actually pretty shit, but you know, maybe there are other ones. It's cool that they're experimenting, and this is like thematically, or not thematically. Spoiler alert, I don't care about Jurassic Park and whatnot. It was something I watched as a kid. When I was a child, I took part in childish things. But now that I'm a man, I put those childish things away. And by that, I mean it was a movie I watched as a kid that I thought was pretty cool. And I haven't seen any since the second one. No, I saw the third one. I saw Jurassic Park 3. Yeah, they made a movie based on these cards. Very brave of me to not care about a thing Velocity's ramming down my throat. Yeah, I'm starting to like hit a point where I'm just like, I wish they didn't make these, but they do make them, and there's no going back. And frankly, it's a little embarrassing, but you know, who gives a shit? I'm just not going to play with these cards. I might open them in a pack and sell them to someone that really cares about Jurassic Park, and they'll pay for my lunch, and that's okay. Sometimes there will be cards that are cool enough that I want to play them, like in Commander, despite the fact that they are obviously grilled, or despite the fact that they are obviously not for me. You know? Cresting Mosasaurus, 6 blue for a 4/8 Dino with a merge, for 6 and a blue. When Cresting Mosasaurus enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return each non-dinosaur card to its owner's hand. That is fucked. This card's art doesn't do it for you? Is it because they're feeding a shark to, like, they're feeding a shark to another thing? Like you're about to see a gruesome death? It's Vor, yeah. Yeah. This card is really good. Like for Commander, this card is very strong. It's yeah, it's just like a merge is a pretty powerful keyword that doesn't get played that much. And 6 plus a single pip is not that difficult to hit. And as long as you're not against, you know, a dinosaur deck or whatever, you can just get rid of all their stuff. Maybe reset a couple of your ETBs as well. Or maybe you are a dinosaur deck and you get to play this card. This one is one where I really wish it wasn't a Jurassic Park card, but I imagine I'm going to pick up a copy of this for Commander because I think it's pretty cool. Spitting Dilophosaurus, 2 and a black for a 3/2 dinosaur. Whenever Spitting Dilophosaurus enters the battlefield or attacks, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Creatures your opponents control with -1/-1 counters on them can't block. Shout out to my godfather, Wayne Knight. Finally, Wayne Knight gets to be on a Magic card. I might... maybe you could play this in Highlander. Like, honestly, obviously, if you're a deck in Commander that cares about -1/-1 counters or that cares about dinosaurs, then yeah, you can play this because it seems okay. Probably more for the -1/-1 counters than anything. But like, I don't know, 3 mana 3/2 that ETBs and kills a mana dork or shrinks something and kills it on combat. Something that stops creatures from blocking. Like, this card might be real. This is another card that I will pick up a copy and will play in Commander. Or not Commander. I will pick up a copy and I will try playing it for Highlander. Oh yeah, I saw Sheevan going off about it. Hey, quick question. Are they making other versions of this? Like, is this getting a Universes Beyond or Universes Within treatment, or is this it? No plans? Cool. Fucking really cool. Honey, where's my gun? Very cool. This card's just kind of neat. Hunting Velociraptor, 2 and a red for a 3/2. With first strike, it's a dinosaur. And it says dinosaur spells you cast have Prowl. Prowl is a messed up this is a messed up card for commander. Like if you have a dinosaur commander deck, this is kind of fucked. Prowl says you may cast a spell for its Prowl cost if you dealt combat damage to a player this turn with a creature of any of the creature types. So imagine you play this card in commander, you have 3 opponents. One of them doesn't have a creature that can block, or one of them just doesn't have any creatures. And then you hit them for 3. Then you can just cast your 9 mana commander, your 8 mana dino, whatever, for 3 mana. That is wild. Or yeah, cast Zakama. Sure, why not? Cast Galta. I imagine this is going to be a pricey card. Yeah, I imagine this card's going to be pretty pricey. Because it's quite good. Life Finds a Way. What's this? 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, populate. Populate. Fine, I'll populate. Cool. Cool card for commander. For a clown to play. Oh, it's a cool card, you know? It's neat. The people that want this card for their commander decks are like the people that like populate or want to make big tokens or big things that make tokens. Like this is pretty cool. And in fact, there's Atla Palani, the Atla Palani commander deck makes me think about this. Like that, the precon. This seems like a good fix or a good fit for that. Savage Order. 2 and 2 green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you sack a creature with power 4 or greater. And then you search your library for a dinosaur card, put it into play, then shuffle it. It gains indestructible until your next turn. I'm going to have to buy a copy of this card for Canadian Highlander. We didn't talk about it. I don't think we actually talked about any of the Jurassic Park cards, which is something that I was able to get away with because I was the one that made the I was the one that made the spreadsheet. I could see myself playing this card. Greater than or equal to. Like it's a bit of a steep cost, obviously, creature with power 4 or greater, but it's doable. You can't sack an elf to do it, but redundancy for this kind of effect is pretty strong. And the fact that it can tutor up Apex Altasaur, the new Galta, it can grab Regal Behemoth, Tyrannix Rex. Like there are Carnage Tyrant. There are legitimate targets for this card. And those are just mono green. There are probably other ones. Flippatali. Yeah, let me see. Like these are real Magic cards that like you could include in your like Green X Hoof deck. Especially because the Hoof decks have started playing, Questing Beast, Minsk and Boo. I'm sure there are others. Flippatali. It's kind of hot. You're probably not playing Jisath. Kogla and Yadaro. That's technically a dinosaur. Finding that's pretty strong. I don't know. That's like 6 different dinosaurs. Might be worth checking out. Yeah, not bad. Rotting Regisaur. I only looked up dinosaurs that had CMC 6 or higher. But like, yeah, you can find them. I think this. I'm going to pick up this card and maybe give it a look. Give it a look-see. Welcome to 1 green for an enchantment saga. Chapter 1. For each opponent, up to 1 target non-creature artifact they control becomes a 0/4 wall creature with defender as long as you control this saga. Chapter 2. Create a 3/3 dinosaur token with trample. It gains haste until end of turn. Chapter 3. Destroy all walls. Exile this saga. Then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. And it turns into Jurassic Park. It's a legendary land. Taps to add a green for each dinosaur you control. Each dinosaur in your graveyard has escape, and the escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 for other cards from your graveyard. I will say this about these Universes Beyond cards, even if they are just like a cheap cash grab and a tie-in, they are pretty wacky. And like even devoid, I don't know, there's a certain charm of them because it's effectively just like making MTG Salvation custom cards, but not the broken ones, just the really goofy ones, you know? Like, even if this wasn't a Jurassic Park tie-in, just like the idea of a saga where it's like, okay, so we make a wall, and then you get a dinosaur, and then you break down all the walls, and the dinosaurs are free. Like, that's just kind of cool, right? I really wish that it didn't have to be tied into this movie series, but, you know. You're Canadian, you don't own a gun. You don't know that. What if I did have a gun? I can't legally say that I have a gun while my husband is in earshot. No, there are a lot of Canadians with firearms, like a lot. It's just we don't use them to shoot children. We use them for, you know, hunting and sport. Yeah. And we have laws surrounding them. Yeah, well, we're somewhat responsible. Yeah, weird, huh? No, Jesus Christ. Yeah, sometimes. Look, it's not a perfect system. It's Canada. Canada is, boy, when Americans learn about Canadian racism, it's its own brand of racism. It's not quite British racism, and it's not quite American racism. It's somewhere in the middle that really catches you off guard, you know? It's like a more subtle version of like Dutch Dutch racism is like incredible. It's so that is incredible racism. That is just like Kiefer is saying is because it is so ingrained. It's much more subtle until you finally go, hey, wait a minute. This is fucked up. This is institutionalized. Wait, hold on. No. All this is bad. All this is bad. You know? It's the monkey cage of racism. Blue, Loyal Raptor. What? 2 green and a blue for a 5/4. Partner with Owen Grady Raptor Trainer? Huh? What the hell is an Owen Grady? That's an Owen Grady. Oh, it's Chris Pratt. I see. So 4 mana, 5/4 that partners with Chris Pratt. For each kind of counter on blue, each other dinosaur you control enters the battlefield with a counter of that kind. And Owen Grady is a 3 mana, 3/2, partner with blue. Tap, put your choice of a menace, trample. I don't care. Now, is it true that you can't tap this to put a counter on any gay creature? I just joined from finishing part 1 on YouTube too. That's incredible racist. Yeah, Canadian racism is, it's... Oh boy. Compy Swarm. 1 black and a green for a 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, create a tap token that's a copy of Compy Swarm. This card's really cute. It's really cool. I imagine it's going to be pretty strong in Commander. It being a 2/2 is, not the best, but whatever. It's, yeah, great with Griswold, for sure. This is definitely the kind of card that gets out of hand, you know, especially with Populate. I swear to God, more of these are Canlander playable, but Ellie and Alan Paleontologists. 2 green, white, and a blue for a 2/5 legendary creature human scientist. You tap and exile a creature card from your graveyard. Discover X, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Use only as a sorcery. This is genuinely a cool Magic card. Like, again, this is something where if this wasn't like a Jurassic Park card, I would be extremely into building a commander deck around it. But I mean, I just saw this guy on my TV earlier today when Kiefer... Wait, no. Did you watch Event Horizon yesterday? I saw this guy on my TV yesterday. Like, that kind of takes me out of it, you know? Oh, I like Laura Dern. Don't get me wrong. I'm nothing against Laura Dern. Laura Dern's great. But it's just a, like, I don't know. I don't like I don't like these cards that have real people on them. Serious question. Is Star Wars a real possibility now that we are seeing Avengers joining you? Yes, probably. I mean, people thought that we wouldn't get the Marvel crossover because there were Marvel card games. Now look at us. I would love, you know what? If they made a Fast and the Furious secret lair, yeah, I'd be into it. Grim Gigantosaurus. 5 black and a green for a 10/10 dinosaur with Monstrosity 10 for 10 black and a green. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each creature with power 4 or greater your opponent's control. Holy fuck.
Using magic.
Yeah. How dare you?
No.
Kiefer said, can you imagine a Dominic Toretto Planeswalker? He would have to, I mean, he would care about family. All the cards just care about family and vehicles. And none of them actually work within the rules of the game. -2, drive through Brazil with a giant vault. Zephram Trip, welcome to the stream. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the channel. Glad to have you. Good to see you. You came in at a great time. When this becomes monstrous, you destroy all artifacts and creatures other than Giganosaurus. This card is wild. This card is wild. Like this, I mean, the fact that you have a 10/10 that becomes a 20/20 and blows up everything else is pretty terrifying. Yeah, this card seems pretty strong to me. I know it's expensive, but I'm talking about Commander. In Commander, this card's going to be a lot easier to get going and a must answer, or else it just destroys everybody's creatures and destroys a lot of the ramp artifacts that people use to get them there, you know? Yeah, pretty big terrifying card. Oh, this fucking card. Henry Wu Geneticist. Black, green, and a blue for a 1/4 human scientist. Oh my god. Yeah, I guess they didn't get the right. Who's the actor that plays this? When Henry Wu ETBs. Oh wait, no, hold on. Oh, it's BD Wong. Henry Wu and other human creatures you control have exploit. Whenever a creature you control exploits a non-human, draw a card. If the exploited creature has power 3... Hey, honey, look at this. Are you in a spot where you can come and see this? All right, I'm going to save this for Kiefer. Oh, there's so many of them. Indominus Rex Alpha. Huh? Yes. I mean, you don't have to come on camera.
not his name at all. It's not his name.
Would you play a Jeff Goldblum commander deck?
No. I wouldn't. Maybe if it was Neil from the Matrix.
How come they haven't made a Matrix commander deck yet? Whenever a player draws their second card each turn, that player exiles the top card of their library. During each player's turn, that player may cast a spell from among the cards. I don't give a shit. I got a level. I don't give a shit. For the legends, I don't really care. Could I make a wrestling deck? Yeah, absolutely. There's a wrestling card in this set. Here, look.
Does the what is the text at the bottom?
Flavor text?
Does the flavor text say anything about scissoring me daddy ass? Okay, well that kind of looks like Miro, I guess. Thanks.
There's also there's Zangief. There's a wrestler. You could play the Street Fighter character I play.
Okay, but that's not wrestling.
What about this? Is this wrestling?
Luchasaurus, kind of.
Luchasaurus, okay. Kiefer loves the acclaim.
I do. I love the acclaimed.
Kiefer is dead.
Catch me in like 2 weeks.
Kiefer's getting a shirt. A Scissor Me Daddy shirt. Anyways, thank you, honey. 2 hybrid blue black, 2 green for a 6/6 dinosaur mutant. As it enters the battlefield, you discard any number of creature cards, and it enters with a flying counter on it if the card discarded this way has flying, and then the same for a variety of keywords, and then you draw. When it ETBs, you draw a card for each counter on it. Cool, I guess. Sultai it's not really a dinosaur card. It's more of a Sultai keywords matter card. Yeah, I guess it's okay. I'm not super, if you couldn't tell, I'm not super enthused by these Jurassic Park cards. There's one more card in here that I actually want to talk about for the sake of Highlander. I mean, we've come this far. I guess I can finish. Oh, is this one good? I think this one might be good too. Indoraptor, the perfect hybrid. 1 hybrid black, green, and a red for a 3/1 Bloodthirst, X, and Menace. So it ETBs with X counters on it, where X is the amount of damage dealt to your opponents this turn. And then when it is dealt damage, you choose an opponent at random. Indoraptor deals damage equal to its power to that player unless they sack a non-token. So it's a little fragile. It scales kind of well. Get it? It's a dinosaur. Like, it's a legend, which is kind of interesting. It's pretty realistic to see this come out as like a 3 mana 6/4, right? Like hitting them for 3 in your Gruul deck on turn 3 and then following it up with this is not that difficult. And it has Menace, so it's a big creature with Menace. And then if it is dealt damage, if you if they manage to double block it, even if it dies, it's gonna be able to dome them out unless they sack things. But they are double blocking, and so they've already probably lost a lot of their creatures. Like, I think this card has enough good going for it that I'm interested on seeing if the Gruul pilots of the format, or the Naya pilots, or the legendary pilots of the format wanna give this a whirl. Here we go, a good magic card. I mean, the other one was pretty good, but this one is just straightforward good. White and a blue, instant. It's called Permission Denied. It has Samuel L. Jackson and my godfather, Wayne Knight, on it. Instant. Counter target non-creature spell. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. That's pretty strong. That's pretty good. Occasionally, Dovin's Veto will see play in blue-white decks or blue-white X control decks. And while this can be countered, this has some additional value against combo decks, which I think is pretty strong. Yeah, I could see this card showing up. How they get Samuel L. Jackson but not BD Wong? I mean, has Samuel L. Jackson ever said no to anything for money? Doesn't seem like it. That guy just likes doing stuff, and he likes getting paid, so sure, why not? You didn't say the magic word? Strictly better. Oh. Ravenous Tyrannosaurus. 4 red and a green for a 6/6 dinosaur. Devour 3. When it attack... nope. Doesn't do anything. Swooping Pteranodon. Oh, is this the one that just like eats the woman alive? Is this the... I have seen the video of like from one of the Jurassic Worlds or whatever. Is it from... It's from the new ones, right? Where the bird like swoops in and like just kills the woman for no reason. Oh, she gets eaten by the Plesios. Yeah, the like unnecessarily cruel. I remember a Twitter thread about that. Yeah. 3 red and a white for a 3/3 flying haste dino. Whenever it or another dinosaur with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains flying and haste until the end of turn. And at the beginning of the next end step, target land deals 3. Oh, come on. That's just rude. I do like this card. Like, again, if it weren't, I would like it more if it weren't Jurassic Park themed, but like, this is a cool design. It's flavorful. A giant dinosaur swoops down, snatches you, and then when it's done, it's just like, oh, there you go. Like, that's cool. That's flavorful. That's good design. I like it a lot. Cool card. Cool card. Maybe I'll get a version of this. I mean, this one feels, even though they are wearing a Jurassic World shirt here, like this one, the dinosaurs that are just dinosaurs are a little easier to look at and be like, yeah, this is whatever. You know? And this one's not boring. Very cool. And then oh, not even the last card. No, it is the last card. And the last card, Dino DNA. 1 mana artifact with imprint. For 1 generic tap, exile target creature card from a graveyard, used only as a sorcery. And then pay 6 generic, create a token that's a copy of target creature card, exiled with Dino DNA, except it's a 6/6 dinosaur creature with trample, activate only as a sorcery. Mr. DNA. So it makes colossal dreadmaws that are copies of cards. Cool. I think that's pretty cool. Again, I know this guy. I've seen this guy. I know who your brother is. I've listened to your brother talk about animals on Netflix. It's so hard to not like be like, this is a real guy, you know? No, this isn't Wilford Brimley. It's it's one of the Attenboroughs. Richard Attenborough? Is that who it is? No, not James Turner. Yeah, it's Richard Attenborough. Dino Beaties. Holy shit. Very good. Yeah. This card is it's cool. Kind of wish there wasn't Richard Attenborough here, but you know, it's cool. I am not buying into all the Universes Beyond announcements. It's all cringe to me. I mean, honestly, based, Yeah, it's not my jam. I'm glad people like it. I still think it's actively detrimental to the long-term health of the game, but it's never stopping. And the best I can do is just ignore it and just be like, sure, this exists. I'm good. I don't have to engage with this if I don't want to. And sometimes I can be maliciously compliant and say, do a whole set review for North 100 where I skip over all these cards. Who's to say? Double-sided lands? I assume this is what it, okay, yeah, like this is an example. Like this is a thing behind glass and then it breaks out or something. Yeah. That's the motif they're going for. Wow, look at the park. It's so nice. Here's the guard tower. Oh no, there's a dinosaur there. Oh, look, there's people having fun. The swamp. Oh no, there's a dinosaur there. WotC has been making decisions that are bad for the long-term health of the game for years now. Yeah, they're a company. That's how companies work. They try to make as much money as possible, and then they try to keep making even more money. And it can come at a cost for brand integrity and for the consumer base being like, hey, I want to get off this wild ride, Mr. Bones. And they're just like, cool, there's replacements. There'll always be replacements. Or, whatever. They don't care about you. They're a company. Yeah. I don't expect much. What I do expect is for you to go check out cardkingdom.com for... yeah, thanks to Wizards of the Coast. Hey, I'm not in the ambassador program. I wonder why. That one didn't count. That was intentional. And then I realized I should probably at least get something on the screen. But I have my backup. All right. I'm going to call it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Reminder. I was playing an ambassador gameplay, but that was for the spike feeders that are in the ambassador program that I was able to participate in because I'm already under NDA. Yeah. I am 5,000 levels above everything. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to be doing because there's always an awkward kind of spot before the set is actually available, but we'll figure it out. I'll see what's available. There might be a cube online or something we can do. We could just play Canlander. There's a bunch of stuff. Reminder, I did plug Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/Wheeler. Use that link. Helps me, helps the channel, all that jazz. Presido cards from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Genuinely, this set's a banger. The cards look great. They play great. Very excited to play more with these cards in Canlander, Limited, Gladiator, Ball It. Also, Mana Traders. Speaking of, when those cards do become available, going to be streaming a bunch of Canadian Highlander on Mana Traders. Yeah, you gotta wait a bit unless there's like a higher level subscription where you get it immediately, which, I mean, if you're with that, congratulations. But I can't imagine these cards being that pricey unless they also find a home in like standard or whatever. But you use coupon code BenWheeler_42. You get 10% off the first couple of months. And use that link. It's a referral link. And also, if you live in Vancouver or the surrounding areas, next Saturday, November 11th, myself and Cameron are #sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, going to be at Rain City Games in Vancouver for their Lost Caverns of Ixalan pre-release. We're going to be playing in the pre-release. I'm going to have a Canlander deck on me. We can jam games. It'll be a ton of fun. So come on down. And you can you get a free card too. If you pre-register with the companion app, you get a free Magic 30th anniversary card. There's a bunch of free stuff. There's giveaways. It's a whole thing. So come on down. It'll be fun. Let me drop you kids off somewhere. Oh, and thank you again. I know that people said that they don't care, and obviously we can do some bits with it, but it is truly night and day regarding streaming without the lights on. Like, I know it doesn't visually look that great, but I feel fine, and we have been live for 4 hours and 20 minutes. Holy shit. Really? Hold up. We've been live for 4 hours and 20 minutes, and I already streamed for 3 hours earlier today. So yeah, the fact that I'm able to do this and not feel like I'm getting hit in the skull with a hammer is cool and good. I like that. I'm glad that folks are like, yeah, dude, do whatever you want. You know, whatever gets you, whatever lets you actually do this is pretty cool and good. Wow, Twitch, I gotta show this off. Look at this layout. This sucks. Like, I'm trying to find a stream to raid that I like, of someone I know, and what is this shit? Like, you should have seen it when it was like this. It was on the side of the of the screen. It was bad. Bad news. Who wants to watch Cube? Let's go watch Cube. J-Bro is streaming. Let's watch Cube. Give me a second here. How do I do this? Drop you kids off. I'm going to figure out the schedule and I'll post it either tonight or early tomorrow morning. But we're going to be streaming something tomorrow. Who likes Cube? Oh shit, Vintage Cube's back, right? Is Vintage Cube back? It might be back. If it is, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Either way, go watch this. Have fun. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.